All right, let me just sort my final buttons and thingies and gadgets and gimmicks I need to push around to do all the things I want the things to do. And then let me see, we haven't done this for quite a while, so let me see if I hit the right button. If I punch this button, do we end up in the right scene? Yes, we do. Whoa, see? And I'm so full of joy that the first thing I do is spill my coffee about fortunately only my table, not my keyboard, because that will be, I need that tonight. So yeah, it was only the table. Thanks for that. See, these are the things that happen when you do this live and are pre-recorded on things like the Tube or something. Hello, everyone, you fine people out there. Welcome to season 2 of the devcom tutorials. Yes, you didn't complain enough to stop us from taking another round at this and doing this again and continue doing this and keep on doing this and not do this. So what are we gonna do? But this time around we'll be mixing up things a bit. And Mr. Nickes, good afternoon to you. Hi, wonderful for you to stop by, drop in and say hello and all the things. And just be there and converse with me so I don't have to feel all alone in the night. And yes, that was a Babylon 5 reference. So yeah, we'll be mixing up things a bit this time around. Again, we will be together for the next 10 weeks, the next 10 evenings. We will be here and doing game dev stuff. But the last time we did this, we did C++ in Unreal. Knock, knock. Oh, who's there? Sorry. Who's there? And while I'm waiting for who's there, oh, Kosh. Kosh who? This is the chat delay. We have to finish this because I won't be Gesundheit. Exactly. This is also something Babylon 5 fans will find this hilarious. I personally do. So if you didn't get the reference, do watch Babylon 5. It's an amazing show. Anyways, the last time around, the last 10 evenings we spent together right here at this place on this channel in this wonderful home office. Just with different colors around me. Don't judge me on the colors. I didn't choose the colors. So I find they are very, very fitting for Twitch because they are not exactly, but almost Twitch colors. So this fits perfectly. I'll also took care of the lighting in the background, so we have this matching to the overall theme, but some of you know that you can change this and how. And yes, I haven't translated the bot who controls the light. I have not translated it into English yet, so you still have to use the German commands and names and all that. So to finish my first thought, the last 10 evenings we sat here together, we looked exclusively at coding C++ for Unreal Engine. And this time around, the next 10 evenings, we'll be mixing up things a bit. We will start with Unreal Engine because this is something I have been asked actually a few times. Like, okay, all this C++, it's pretty cool, yeah, super techy, super nice, amazing stuff. But I'm a total beginner. I've never used Unreal Engine before, and maybe only moderate to no coding experience at all. So how do I get started with Unreal Engine at all? Knowing nothing, especially no C++. How can I get started with Unreal Engine? So this is what I want to start off with for the next few weeks we're doing this. So tonight and next week, and depending on how we progress, maybe the week after, so the next, including this one, the next 2 to 3 evenings, we will be looking at Unreal Engine for people who really have basically never started the Unreal editor at all before and wanna get going and wanna see, okay, start this up and wow, this looks intimidating. Where do I click all those buttons and all those menus? Where do I start? And this is exactly what I want to do with the next 2 or 3 evenings, to give you a small insight of how to start with Unreal Engine at all, get started and show you some of the most important things that you will need at the beginning. We will also, at the end of it, see how you do C++ stuff, but not as in-depth as the last time, because if you actually want to in-depth see how C++ works with the Unreal Engine, you can just watch the recordings of Season 1. Doesn't that sound fancy? And Morty FM, hi there, a wonderful evening to you. Greetings go out. Hi. So yeah, if you actually want to pick up, and my table is still a bit spilled from my, let's take the thingy, the napkin. So, if you want to know how C++ in depth works, just watch Season 1. It's all on YouTube. There is I don't know, I'm not sure if you have a command for that or something. But even if not, the bot will periodically announce. No, we don't. The bot will periodically announce multiple things, stuff you might want to know about devcom, the devcom conference or devcom 365, and there will also be a link to the YouTube channel, and you will find everything we've done so far there, and you can just watch it, rewatch it. And if you have questions, please, I invite you. Feel free to ask them either in the comments on the YouTube videos or here in the chat. It was social. Okay. See, Dana has everything covered. Dana, a wonderful evening to you. Hi. Nice for you to stop by. And Nico and Lakeside, I haven't overseen you. I missed you in the sense that it's so long since we've seen each other the last time, especially really like seen or maybe just in chat, but I have not missed you as in I did not see that you stumbled into our lovely chat. Hi, make yourselves comfortable. UE tutorials are back. Exactly, but and this was what Reboot Speech Center. This is what I was just saying. We're not doing Unreal only. We're gonna be mixing up a bit. We'll also spice it up with a bit of Unity. I was thinking about how to make a joke about we live with Unreal in Unity, but that would be wrong because Unreal is not in it. But I don't know. I'm still searching. There's a joke hidden in there that we're kind of in Unity with Unreal or something. There's a joke hidden there. I just don't like it yet. So I continue my quest of finding that hidden joke to then present it to you. So yeah, we will also spice it up with a little bit of Unity. So how do you do stuff in Unity? Maybe some of the things we've done in Unreal, how would you do them in Unity? And you'll be surprised. It's pretty much the same. Most things just have different names, but in the end it kind of works the same. And the first 2 or 3 evenings will be making really a complete, I have never started Unreal before, how do I begin thing. So we'll be starting Unreal for the very first time. We'll see how we manage the editor and how we can do the first few little steps. So basically a prequel to our C++ stuff we've done before, because that was a bit more advanced. That was for actual programmers, and now we're just taking a look at how to get started with working with Unreal Engine at all. Yes, as said. And then we will be switching over a bit to Unity. And we're discussing a few other ideas in the background of things we might want to do. There is one thing I really, really would like to do, but I think we're going to postpone that a bit because I would need to prepare a bit more for that. And by prepare, I mean make a middleware we were working on a bit more complete, a bit more feature complete to put a bit more stuff in there. Because there's one thing I would actually like to take a look at with you guys, but we might make a special out of that. I don't know. I have to ask the guys in the higher floors, on the higher floors, if we want to do that, because I actually would like to look at you guys if you want to make a game and want to put some Twitch integration into it, because some of you know it's not a secret. I'm a huge fan of games that integrate Twitch in any way. And I'm kind of promoting this idea into the industry and to get people to notice that this is something we need to do. This is something where gaming is moving towards to. So yeah, that might be interesting. But yeah, there's a few things we'll be mixing it up. It won't be just one topic this time for the next 10 evenings. There will be a wide variety of topics, and this has already gone way too long for a cold open. So see you on the other side of this. Yeah, and I hope that worked with the sound and all, because I'm also I need to my throat. Yeah, I need to see that my put some moisturization, lubrication. Yeah, I need to lubricate my see with this very nice devcom mug. Yes. Completely set out for to be in style, to be correct, to have the correct style for tonight. So here we are. This is the answer. What you're seeing here already is the answer to the very first question someone who might want to start with Unreal Engine might ask them. And that is, where do I get it? I heard Unreal Engine is free. So where can I download it? Where's the download link? There isn't an actual download link anymore, because there's the most favorite thing of every gamer, which is the Epic Store Games launcher thing. Every gamer loves it. The Epic launcher, it's, well, yeah, beloved by everyone. Who doesn't? And you need to have this one. If you want to use Unreal Engine, you need to have the Epic launcher, because you download the engine through the Epic launcher. You can then also launch it through the Epic launcher, which is the general idea of a launcher, to launch things. So since Unreal Engine is a thing, you can also launch it through the launcher. But you can also not use the launcher, but it will be launched in the background anyways. So you can launch the engine on it, or directly. We'll be seeing this when we're trying to play around with this a bit. You can also, by double-clicking on the appropriate file, immediately open your project without going through any launchers and menus and selections, everything. Just immediately open your project in the engine. The launcher will be launched in the background anyways. But, well, yeah, it's in the background, so it doesn't really matter. However, the first thing, again, you need to do is to install the Epic Games launcher. And then you have this section Unreal Engine down here. And I think by default, it will actually bring you to the Unreal Engine tab. There is a few quite useful resources and links here, like Unreal Engine community. This is the Unreal Engine forum, I think, where it goes to, and the good news, YouTube, Answer Hub. Lots of good resources where you can get your questions answered, or where you can get tutorials, or just general information about how to do stuff and what you can do. Then they get some featured contents with spotlights, and we've actually been featured once in the weekly spotlight with our own game. Yes, and this is basically this is. If the Unreal Engine team sees anything on the internet they like, and they think, oh, this is pretty cool, and it's done with Unreal Engine, there's a good chance it might get featured here. They will just slam an image and screenshot and a link to your project, whatever it is in there, if they like it. So there's always a few nice things to look at, and there's cool resources, like there's news, so what newest features added to the engine, or if there's an article describing something. So it's always a good idea to just look around here if there's anything that might be of interest. Sometimes there's some real gems there, or tutorials are linked where you say, okay, at least let's save this for later. However, if you then actually want to get the engine, you got this library tab up here, and you hit this one. And if you start completely fresh, this area will be empty. Right now, like in every good cooking show, I prepared something. It's around 12 gigs to download. Is it only 12 gigs? Wow, that is, I was more like in the ballpark of 25 to 30. But yeah, maybe the download, maybe the actual download is compressed and it then uncompresses it, because it takes quite some space on the hard drive. Yeah, usually this is completely empty, and like in every good cooking show, I already prepared something, because if I want to be downloading this right now, we'll be sitting here looking at a download progress bar for I don't know how long, and this is kind of boring, so we just want to hit just immediately jump in there. So this area will be empty for you, but do not worry, you will have this little plus button here, the yellow button with the plus on it. You just hit that, and then you get this great title, and then you can choose any version of the engine you like. You can even go back to Unreal Engine 4.0, which is pretty amazing. So you can choose any version of the engine you like. If you're just starting out, I'd suggest just taking the newest one, so you have access to all the bells and whistles, all the newest features. Maybe they don't, because that device is not installed. It has download because, well, I don't know. Again, maybe it's download is compressed or something. Well, your mileage may vary. So once you're done, once you've selected your version of choice, again, just use, if you're just starting out, use the most recent one. Then you hit this shiny install button, and it will start downloading and installing and doing all sorts of stuff. So let's pretend we did this. And eventually, this thing will become like bluish, like this one, and the install button will become a launch button. Just for info, so just you heard this, because this is possible, but this is definitely something for the more advanced users. You see up here, there's a link to GitHub source. Because I need to be logged in. Yeah, there's a few steps you have to do first. You have to enter the Epic the company, the GitHub company. You don't have to actually apply to Epic and be hired or stuff. You just have to join the Epic company they created at GitHub, so they can give you access to their repository. But you can get the engine completely as source code. The engine, it's not only the engine that's free, you can also immediately, and it's just a formality, you just have to join the company, and I'm not sure if you have to wait for it to be approved or if it's auto-approved. Haven't done this for quite a time. But you can get the complete source code of the engine, and you can compile it completely by yourself, which means you can make changes to the engine. And the really professional people, they actually do this. If you're really working on high-profile projects, you might find situation where the engine out of the box, as it is, does not 100% suit your needs. So you can change this. You can get the source code, you can make changes to the engine, and then you can compile it even without making any changes, and make basically your own version of the engine. No problem, you can do this. And Lakeside remembers the approval was quite fast. Yeah, I do think so. It's so long ago for me, because I haven't worked with Unreal for many years. I haven't worked with Unreal for so long that recently, when I started working with it again, I was basically like starting out fresh. But my very first version of Unreal 4 that I actually worked with was indeed 4.0. When they initially released Unreal Engine 4 and they were like, oh, this only costs you like $20 a month or so, I was immediately like, oh yes, oh, I want to do this, I want to play with this. So I, of course, applied for getting the source code, and I don't remember. It's like 25 years ago. I'm not sure if they do one version per year. If they do one version per year, this is actually 25 years ago. I don't think this is 25 years ago. It's more like, actually, I don't know, 12 years, maybe a bit less, something like that. But yeah, it's super easy, and it's documented also. They have a very good documentation on the few steps you need to do to actually being given the access to the source code and then being able to download it and everything. So let's say we didn't bother with source code because that's let's leave this to, I don't know, the S-class professionals, and we have just downloaded the engine because that's good enough for us for now. And we got this shiny launch button. And what's the best thing you can do with a shiny launch button? Of course, hit it. Gentle. You don't have to hit it hard. You can just brush over it. And eventually you will be greeted with this little splash screen that later on you can, for your project, later on for your own project, you can customize this. This is something I'll be showing you as well. Because for those of you who actually did check out my Game of Life repository, because previously, when we did the C++ stuff and we made this little Game of Life implementation, I also gave you the code I did live with you here during the tutorials in a Git repository for you to check out and play with and try out stuff. And for those of you who actually did this, you might have noticed if you open the project, you'll actually have a customized splash screen that's more in the color scheme of devcom, and where it says devcom tutorials, Game of Life, and yada 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 yada. This is super easy. This is so easy to do, and I'm going to show you. Maybe not tonight, but maybe next week. Who knows? So once we started the engine, it asks us what do we want to do, because Unreal Engine is not only used in the gaming industry. It originated in the gaming industry in the first-person shooter games to be precise, but these days Unreal Engine is used in so many industries like film, television, and live events, architecture, engineering, construction, automotive, product design, manufacturing. Excuse me. Got kind of a dry throat. Need to keep it properly lubricated. So, yeah, you can do, if you're not a game dev, if you're doing like, I don't know, you're responsible for the virtual set of your next talk show, whatever, you can of course do film, television, live. I've actually never tried these options before. I have no idea what happens if you pick one of these. Maybe one day I will try out this option. I don't know, if I have the time, which will be never. So we're here for games. So we say yes. New project category will be games. Start your game development journey with one of our key classes, levels, and examples. And especially the last one is very interesting. If we hit next now, we get the next this select template dialog. The default is blank, which is exactly that. It's an empty project with nothing in it, except maybe one optional thing that we can put into it, but that comes on the next screen. So we'll discuss this at the next screen. And for today, we'll just stick with a blank project. But if you got your feet wet and you've done your first few experiments and you know a bit how to handle Unreal Engine, how to work with the edit and everything, it's definitely one of the bestest ideas to look at one of these templates. Like, what do you like? Do you like, would you like to make a puzzle game or a twin stick shooter? This one's very nice, a twin stick shooter. Or augmented reality, or whatever else. There's so many templates here. You can just use one of these templates as the base for your new project. So you won't be starting with an empty directory with nothing in there. You'll be starting with assets and code and blueprints that actually do this. Either you just have a little flying UFO or a twin stick shooter where you can shoot at other spaceships, or I don't know, some puzzle game. So that then you can take a closer look at how these things are done. How are the blueprints set up, and how is the code written, and how is this done? So to learn from these examples, to see how are these things done, so then you can replicate and do them in your own project. Or maybe even sometimes, if you're doing it just for practice, it's also a good idea to take one of these templates and then making your own game out of these templates. Don't start from scratch. Just, I don't know, pick this twin stick shooter example for example, and then make a bit more out of it. Add more enemy types, add levels, or I don't know, add Steam Workshop to it. You name it. And eventually, once you have enough experience, you can just say, okay, blank, and start from scratch. Now I will start my very own game from scratch. And of course, we'll be getting rich, because that's when we make games. No, we don't? Okay. It was worth a try, right? You can dream. You can still dream. STS Deserte, I raise my cup to you, sir. A wonderful evening. Hi, and cheers. I can only recommend keeping your throat properly lubricated, so your neighbors will never have to fear you stopping to talk. So for now, because we just want to take a look around the editor and see first things, how they work and what we can do, we just pick the blank project there and hit the next button. And oh my god, more choices. But these are pretty much okay by default. There's usually only two things you might want to change. And the second one, for now, we really will not want to change. The first thing is whether we want to make a blueprint or a C++ project. Of course, for now, because we just want to get started, we take a blueprint project. No fancy coding needed. However, this isn't exclusive. This does not mean, if I say I want to make a blueprint project, this does not mean that I can't use C++ code. And the other way around, if I say, now I want to do a C++ project, this does not mean I can't use blueprints. On the contrary, it's in the end, it doesn't matter which one you choose here, because no matter which one you choose as your type, your project type, you still can do the other thing as well. If you start a blueprint project, you can do as much C++ as you want. If you choose a C++ project, you can do as many blueprints as you want. The only difference this makes is the base game classes, because this is for those of you old enough to know the old wizards, you know, back then, back in Windows 95, 98, and some XP times, Microsoft gave us installation wizards. They were kind of guided things that just ask you a few questions and then did everything for you that had to be done. And this is basically this. And it creates a few base classes, because we can't start with a completely empty directory for our Unreal Engine project. There have to be a few base classes that define the very most basic things, like the game mode, and the default actor and everything. That's stuff we'll be talking about a bit later and looking when we take a look at the Unreal framework, because Unreal Engine is just not just a framework of functions where you can just call stuff. It also gives you a game framework with predefined things like game modes and game state and player actors and player pawns and what's a pawn and what's an actor. This is things we're going to be taking a look at today. And the game framework we'll be doing next week or the week after, depending on how quick we progress. So this basically only defines our base classes. Are they made up as blueprints or are they made up as C++ program files? So in this case, we just keep them as blueprints so we can peek into them and see they're basically just empty because they just define key variables and properties. And that's it. There's no actual boilerplate code in there. It's just empty classes defining some default values for some variables. So maximum quality. Of course, we do want maximum quality. Scalable 2D or 3D, 2D or 3D. Jesus Christ, this guy needs to learn to talk, and I haven't done this for too long. Yeah, it's about time we get started again. So my speech center gets some. This is the problem when you're in the home office. I mean, usually when we're in the office, I talk to my colleagues and my coworkers all day, and I tell them the funniest of all jokes that definitely not make them want to jump out of the window. But when you're at home in your home office since months, I could talk to myself, which quite often I do. But I'm afraid that this home office stuff, it might make speech being, I don't know, we might lose our skill of talking, which would be quite sad. So this is why we need to keep streaming, so we have a reason to talk. So yeah, you can choose if you want scalable 3D or 2D, which is a bit of a misnomer because if you do maximum quality, it's still scalable. Stream hour, yeah, I will, Lakeside, I definitely will. I'm currently working on a few things I can't stream for various reasons. But once I'm working again on stuff that is no problem to be shown in the public, I will stream my work. Yes, this is definitely something I wanted to do last year already, and I've done a bit, and I'm hoping that this year I will actually getting to do this a bit more. It's on the menu. Definitely, especially the Twitch stuff, because sometimes we're still working on our Twitch project, and to me personally, that's very, very interesting. And streaming Twitch-related stuff on Twitch isn't also that far-fetched. So yeah, look forward to hopefully many, many interesting things coming up our way. So of course we want maximum quality. The next question is pretty easy, since I don't have an RTX card here. Or anywhere, ray tracing is disabled. But this is quite nicely because you can enable ray tracing RTX. I'm actually not sure if this refers to RTX functionality, but having RTX support in your Unreal Engine game is very, very easy. It's as easy as just enabling it and setting a few parameters. And then you got your RTX enabled, your RTX on. Oh, the hashtag was RTX on, right? And yeah, then of course you need to take care of your materials, that your materials are properly laid out so they can take advantage of all those tracing them rays, and the lighting almost does it by itself. We want to do desktop console. Of course you can do mobile games, but we're on a desktop, so we do desktop or console. Maybe, I don't know, let's do we could do some little PS5 game. Well, that's an idea. And this is the second thing. Remember on the previous screen when I said we used the blank project. There's nothing in it, with one exception we can choose later on, and this is it. We can say we want starter content, or we can say we want no starter content. So what is starter content? Starter content is a set that Unreal Engine just brings with it, a set of basic static meshes, of materials, of textures, of sound effects, and some particle effects, I think, even. So you already have some assets you can play around with and do stuff. Because if we say we want no starter content, we're actually starting with a completely empty project. There's nothing in there. not a single 3D object, not a single texture. So if we want to get anything on screen, we first have to create models and textures and have to assemble them and then import them and have to do stuff with them. So if we say, yes, we do want starter content, we have a good set of assets already the engine gives us that we can just use without having to bother, where do I get a 3D object? Like there's these nice and shiny default Unreal chairs that basically everyone knows these days. They're in there. They're part of this. So we say, yes, we do want starter content because I haven't yet brushed up on my 3D modeling skills. I will not be able to do any 3D models. However, doing this basics 101 introduction, I will show you how you can, if you're the coder and you just have to take care that things work, and your artist later on, once things work, his job is to make things look pretty. You maybe want some placeholder objects, even some placeholder 3D objects you can work with. And I will show you a way how you can make some basic placeholder 3D models, proper static meshes in the editor without needing any Blender or external tools. You can do them in the editor, just very basic with almost no texturization options. But for placeholders, this works very, very beautifully. And I've used this to make all my placeholders until our artist then came in, threw all my placeholders out, threw his models and stuff in. And I was like, holy cow, can this look pretty. Install Unreal Engine on hard drive or better, solid state drive. What's my personal recommendation would be install it on an SSD. Yes, for speed purpose, because the engine is big, and especially when it has to compile stuff. I can give you a few numbers, like on the current state of our project. Let Them Trade. Some of you have already heard of this. The project itself, if you check out the project from the repository and you have not opened it in Unreal Engine, just the base code and assets is a couple of megabytes. Let it be 200, 300 megabytes or something, because we have 4K textures and everything. It's like super shiny. So let it be 300 or 400 megabytes. Once you've opened the project in the Unreal Editor, the project folder is 7 gigabytes in size. Because there's so much intermediate and compile and object files and this and that and temp stuff. So there's a lot of data the engine has to shuffle around and to work with, especially when you're compiling stuff, you're changing things. So my recommendation would definitely be installed it on an SSD. So you don't have to wait for your hard drive to catch up with what the engine wants to do. So yeah, do that. I actually had this in the office when our intern started, and he checked out our project the first time, and it took ages to open the project. And then we just tried, okay, let's try to move the project folder to the SSD drive, and it was snap, and it was there. So yeah, SSD definitely. This is definitely one of those situations where you want to put it in an SSD. So what I can do here is you can choose where to put your shiny new project. You can choose a folder. I just took a random new folder I created on my desktop because I don't have anywhere else where to put it. So this is the folder where your project will be put into, but the project will also be in its own folder. And the name of this folder will be basically the name of the project. So this is the folder where you can have all your projects. So this folder can be the same for multiple projects. It's not that all projects files will be dumped into this folder. This is the folder where a subfolder will be created, where then all your project files will go into. And this is the name of the project. And this will also be the name of the directory. Let's see, let me demonstrate. This is the folder I just choose of where to put it in. And we just can keep it at my project because, well, we could say our project, my project. No, it's my project. But it's also yours, you know that. So hit on create project, and you see it created this My Project folder in there, and this then has all those files that in the end will create our project. Yes, our project, comrade. Yes, I salute you. Cheers. Almost empty. So, once we've done this, this is the first thing we're going to be seeing. This is our first view of the Unreal Editor. And the Unreal Editor is, well, our portal into the engine. The Unreal Editor is our tool, our utility with which we do all the nice things to tell the engine what we actually want to do. One question, as I know you want to get into coding, you thought about starting with modding. What is something you should look at? First off, getting into coding with modding is quite a good idea because you don't have to do everything from scratch. You can focus on just the one thing you want to do, and you can utilize everything that's already there. But something you should look at, honestly, I don't know, because I haven't done some modding in quite a while, so I don't have an idea of what's out there at good moddable games. A few things come to mind, but yeah, I wanted to say they are quite old. Cyberpunk, yeah, I don't know. Does Cyberpunk have mod support? I mean, if Cyberpunk does have mod support, then go for it, because that is something where you can. I mean, it's fairly new, and I think, but it still has an active it already has an active community. If there's mod support, I don't know. It does have mod support. See, this is cool. This is super cool. So yeah, then I would definitely try to try modding something for Cyberpunk, because since it's still hot potato, you know, Cyberpunk is still it's new, and I mean this in a good way, as in it's still hype, it's still fresh, it's still interesting for people. So I would think, and this is just an educated guess because I haven't looked myself yet, but I think Cyberpunk might have a quite active modding community, and an active modding community is a community where you can get help, where you can get questions answered, where you got tutorials like how to do my first mod for Cyberpunk. So yeah, I have no idea how modding for Cyberpunk works. I don't know, maybe they need some hardcore C code and you need to write DLLs, or I don't know what kind of magic, because modding is not always easy. Sometimes it's quite complicated to make mods for games, but if it does have official mod support, then I don't think it'll be that complicated. Yeah, just try. There's only one way to find out. Just try. You've linked one. Oh, they are using Lua scripting. Okay, yeah, that is actually for modding purposes. This is actually quite good. This makes it accessible. This makes it accessible. It's gibberish. Yeah, if you've never coded, Lua it's a very simple and very basic scripting language, because it's meant for exactly this use case. It's meant to be embedded into other things. It doesn't necessarily have to be a game. In our case, it's a game. So you can extend what the game does with external scripts. So yeah, I've never personally used Lua, but I think it's quite easy to pick up. But if you've never done this, of course, it looks like I don't know, Latin or something. I mean, if I see a Latin text, I have no idea what that means. It's gibberish to me, because of the only thing I can say in Latin, and I think I even pronouncing this wrong, is vini, vidi, vici, or vici, or I don't know. That's the only Latin I can. Well, no, there's one second phrase. There's a second phrase I know in Latin, but I will not try to actually speak it out loud, because this one I will definitely mispronounce. It's the one like that basically says this has to be proven, or to be proven. Yeah, but I'm definitely gonna be mispronouncing this. So what's Latin for me, and maybe even for you as well, QED. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, QED. See, it's the long version. Exactly. Thanks, Morty. This is right. The short version, it's the long version of QED. It's what QED actually means. Exactly that. That's the second thing in Latin. I would love. I was so sad that I had a school career. Yeah, exactly what Lakeside. I won't even dare to try to pronounce that, because I will slaughter this. I've tried for years to pronounce this, and I think I've never nailed it. I was so sad that when I finished school, I found out that I had a school career and I did all the 13 years we can do in Germany. But I had a school career that did not include Latin, and this is kind of sad, because I would really like to know Latin, especially because it's a dead language and no one uses it. This is kind of my thing. I like this. I like doing things nobody else does, or at least very few people. And being able to, I don't know, insult people in Latin and they're having no idea what you're saying sounds kind of funny to me. I would like that. So yeah, but I never had any Latin in school. Never, not a single word. All the Latin I know from TV. You don't know a word anymore. It's so freaking lame. You had 5 years of it in school. Oh, nice. Yeah, I didn't even have 5 minutes. So different paths taken, right? Like I said, you just know this phrase. Yeah, I'm also not trying to. Nope, not trying to pronounce that. It would be an insult to the language. Anyways, to look back a bit at Unreal Engine, but just to finish this one, how we got to this, just to finish this off, if Cyberpunk uses Lua scripting for their modding support, that's good news, because that means it's quite accessible. So yeah, that would be a good start. It would be a good entry point to start with coding, just to look up simple Lua samples, trying to get, I don't know, something like a hello world or something into the game, and then extend from there. And eventually either you will get the hang of it and you will get better, or you will just realize it's not fun and it's not for you and you don't like it, and then just don't do it anymore. That's the two options. But there's only one way to find out. So yeah, do it. Do it. Yeah, you know, the guy with the green screen in the back, just do it. Exactly that. Exactly like so. You was thinking Bellum has something to do with dogs. I think Parabellum actually is like parabola. You know, these mathematical thingies. And I think it's even in ballistics, you know, when you try to shoot someone but he's quite far away, you have to aim way above his head because the projectile goes this parabola thing. It might be side. I don't know. I'm just guessing into the wild here. So another thing we might be guessing is, once you've started the Unreal Editor for the first time, this is what you see. And you see this little sonar thingy here, where it constantly pings with green light. Pay attention. Oh, you can't see this because the tutorial logo is right in front of it. So let's here. I mean, this is the one I'm talking about. You see this? It constantly does these green sonar pings, like, pay attention to me, pay attention to me, pay attention to me. And that is something you can do, because I'm not sure how good you can see this. This is a little, this is not how I wanted the magnifier to work, but Okay, yeah, it works. This is like one of these hats, you know, when in the US of A, when you graduate college and you're done and you get your doctorate or whatever, you get these fancy hats with the string, the cat toy hanging from them that they then throw in the air. It's one of these. I have no idea. Maybe one of you knows the actual name of these things. It's actually one of these, and this thing's pinging us, and that's okay because you can click on that, and then you get a little mini tutorial. This tutorial points out each key interface elements for the Unreal Editor. So, should you have A, completely forgotten, or B, never been told how to use certain aspects or areas of the editor, this little icon will always start the tutorial, and this will never go away. It will, once you've closed this, and you close this again, okay, it will stop giving you the ping, but it will still always be there for you. Should you need it, you can just, at every time you can click on it, and okay, now we just get a list of available tutorials. During the ping, it's context sensitive, and there will be more of them. This is not the only situation where we get these. They will be at more places when we get more editor windows open. So while they're pinging, they're context sensitive. They're exactly telling you how the area you're currently in works. And once they stop pinging you and you click them, you can choose whatever you want. You can, oh, look, I heard this paper 2D. What's that? I can do my Turrican 4 with that. Cool. And then you can kind of in editor tutorials. These are some small tutorials the editor comes preloaded with. So do look at them. Do look at them. Every knowledge you can gather is good knowledge. So this might, when you see this the first time, there's two options. You can be either intimidated or totally confused. I personally am totally confused because I don't like the layout. I don't like this default layout with this selection thingy here and these two there and that there. I will rearrange this, and this is one of the bestest options and the bestest possibilities the Unreal Editor gives us, because you can completely redo the layout. You see, some of these things have tabs up there, and some only have these golden yellowish triangles there. If you click on those triangles, they become tabs. So you can taberize. Is that a word? Well, it's now. You can taberize all of these. And then you can move them around however you see fit, wherever you want to have them. And for me personally, this is one of the most important things to do. I have seen people that actually work with this layout. And if this works for them, it's perfectly fine. But I personally find this layout, I don't know. It's not my thing. I like it different. Actually, I completely forgot how I actually like it, so let's just move this around a bit. If you drag these areas at their tabs, you can just move them out of there and move them to a different place. And if you move them into a different area, like into the area of the preview, it will, like the preview shows you, it will like here, it will have the area shrink this and then place this right there into the place. I don't know. I'm bad at words. I'm not good at talking. So what you also can do is you can drag them out until you're not exactly on top of another area, and then you get a floating window. And now you have this thing as a completely own floating window. But again, if you drag the tab into one of these other areas, see, now it's dividing them. What's that? That's horizontally, right? And this is vertically. So it always gives you nice previews. As long as it's floating, you get a floating window. and not sure why it highlights the preview, because nothing happens when I let go over the preview. But you can see you can snap it either to there, or to this side, or to this side, or to the bottom. And you can snap this window wherever and however you like. And if you let go, it just puts it in there, and you can customize the size of them all. Grief begs to differ. Yeah. Well, I'm trying. So what I like to do is, the first thing is I just drag them out and make them all into floating windows, which, as you can see, is not always that easy, because they always want to snap to one of the other areas. Let's see how I get this covered up. Yeah, so this looks promising. So yeah, see. But you can, if you move them by the window, if you don't move them with this top thing here, if you move it at the actual window heading top bar thingy where the icons are, then you can move it wherever you want, and it doesn't try to snap anything. So I think the world outliner is quite okay here, but I want the details to be right beside it and not below it. You know, in the original layout, they were how were they? They were like this, but this list can get quite long, so I would like actually to see as much of these as possible. Also with the details, sometimes there can be a lot of details. So I'd rather like to have it like so, and because since I'm a coder, I don't use these that often. I put them down there. This, by the way, this is the content browser. This will become very important, because content is everything we put into our project. All our assets, all our 3D models, our textures, our sound files, and our beautiful and very funny jokes. Everything we put into our project goes somewhere into the content folder. And so we have the content browser that is basically an Explorer window. Where you also have some options. Let me open the starter. You see there's several subfolders here now, and you can either have them as tiles, you can have it as a list, you can have this as columns with additional information. However you like. You can customize this however you see fit, whatever works best for you. You can also, here's a little icon. When you click on this icon, you actually get a tree structure of our content folder. So you don't have to say, I want starter content, and then I want to blueprints, and then assets, and how do I get back? Oh, I need parent, and then something else. You can just open this tree view, and then it can nicely navigate through this tree, and whatever folder you click on the tree, you see the content right here. If that is something for you, if you want to use it that way. Well, this is the beautiful thing when having options. Everything's optional. You can use it if you want, and you cannot use it if you don't. So that's cool. And there's one more thing. Well, actually, there's two more things I want to show you. There's one more thing that is important for me personally, because since I'm a coder, I need my log outputs. Because this is not everything we have. The Unreal Editor can show you so many more things. If you open the window menu at the top here, this is all things you can have shown in a window like this, and you can place it somewhere, you can put it somewhere. And again, you can also have these as let me try. If you're good enough, if you actually manage, if you actually manage to, you can also have these as completely independent windows. That if you have a multi-monitor setup, and I think most of us have, you could move this to your second, your third, or your fourth monitor, so you don't have to fit everything on one screen. If you say, yeah, the details are important, but I don't need them exactly, you can move them to your second monitor. And whenever you click something, you can see the details of it on your second monitor. You have your content browser on the other monitor. I don't know, you can have the preview on the fourth monitor on top in full screen, because that's also a thing you can do. You can just maximize them. And then you have maximum details, which actually does make a bit more sense. Let me try to snap this here, which actually does make a bit more sense if you take the viewport. This is the preview thingy, and you maximize that. So having this on a separate monitor, and then you can look around and can move around stuff and can edit things. Might be a thing you want. And if you do, you can. So let me see how I get this snuck back in here. Because now I get this open unused space, and I have no idea how to get this. Oh yeah, see? There it is. It pretended to go onto the menu bar, but it actually went into the empty space below it. Cool. So there's also one thing that's quite important for me, and might be for some of you, is to have a window with all the log output. Because especially when you're trying things, you put lots and lots of stuff in your debug log, and you say, okay, here we have this value, and now we entered this branch. The good old printf or echo debugging, depending on which language you're using. So, and there's, let me see if I find it, because there is a console or a log window, I think. Oh, wait, it's here, it's developer tools. Developer tools, and there is the, well, I always need to check output log, message log, device, it's not device output. Open the message log, opens the output log. Great, which is which? Let's see. This is the output log, and this is the message. Oh, okay, this is the dialog that when something went wrong, this is the dialog that comes up and shows you what happened here. But this always shows basically everything. So I want this. I need to rearrange this. I need to undo these for a moment. Okay. And then, yeah, right. And then I snap them there because I want the output log to have enough room for my content browser so I can see all my content. I just wanted to have the output log below these two guys. So this is everything that's placed in the level. So yeah, let's a bit talk about what these things are. So the world outliner is if you know Unity, this is basically this is the tree view in the inspector where you can see your scene. These are all the assets. These are all the objects that are placed in the current level, in the current map, the current level you have open. So I can select things directly in this preview window. I just can click the table, and you see the table is selected. And also in the world outliner, you can see the object with the name of table is selected, of course. Also, the other way around, I can just, if there's a lot, because eventually your levels will there's so many stuff in your levels. Selecting things directly in the editor will become quite hard because there's so much stuff and some is hidden by other stuff. So you can't just really, don't have a clean line of sight where you can click on it. So you can try to find it in the world outliner, and can even use a neat little search there. And I can use for tab. And then I find the table object, and I can just click on it, and you see the table is then selected, and you have these gizmos that you know from any other 3D editing application where I can move the table like so, or like this, or like whatever I want. So let's see to place it neatly on the floor again. Same with the chair. We don't need a floating chair. We could make some chaos. We could just put, because we're cleaning, we're cleaning the floor. We could put the chair on top of the table, so we can clean the floor, because we then put the table, the chair back, and then put the table on top of the chair, so we can clean the floor. But usually in 3D games, you don't have to take care of cleaning the floor, unless you're playing Viscera Cleaning Commando, where it's basically your job to clean the floor, to get rid of the aftermath of the deathmatch. So yeah, the World Outliner shows you everything that's in your level, and you can click it, and so you can interact with these things. The Details pane, well, shows you the details of whatever is currently selected. Currently nothing is selected, so I don't see any details. But I can click on the table again, and then I see all the details of my table. Everything that is there to know, everything that can be known about this object, then is here for me to look at and to change. Like the easiest thing is here in the transform. We could, oh, this is the table. Let's take the chair and let's set the rotation to 0. See? And there, the chair now neatly rotated to be not rotated at all. Yeah, you can look at things, you can change things. This is the static mesh. We're talking about what are static meshes, how are static meshes, and how to do static meshes. We'll be talking about this later. But you can see what's the static mesh and what's the material. So we could change the material. Currently we have the m_chair. And this is naming conventions. If you want to know why there's an m_ in front of this, just watch one of the later episodes of the last series of tutorials, because we talked about best practices and stuff, and this is basically a naming convention we should stick to. But yeah, I don't know. Let's take ceramic tile checker, and look at that. All of a sudden, our excuse me. And we're back. And all of a sudden, our chair looks completely different. It looks like it's made out of stone or something. What else do we have? Cobblestone. Oh yeah, that looks funny. I mean, look at that. This is like your garden chair that's been out there for the last few years. Yeah, this is how your garden chair looks when you know these white plastic things. When you have them like for the 3rd or 4th year in your garden, and you haven't then thrown them away yet and bought new ones, this is how they look like. So yeah, you can change up things. You can assign different materials. You can change the static mesh. We can say, yeah, let's I don't know, what's corner frame? Oh, this is this thing. Now the object still is called chair, but it's whatever that is. I don't know. So yeah, you can also edit around any property you have, and if there's custom components on this, and we'll be talking about this in this introductory session we're doing. But if you want to know more about components, again, watch the previous sessions, because we've talked in depth about them. But if there's components on this that have own properties, you will find, like the collision is just a component. And basically, all of these things are components. This is how things are made up. You basically have an empty object, an actor, and we'll talk about the hierarchy, what's an actor, and so forth. We will talk about this in a bit. You have an empty object, your actor, and then you slap a whole load of components onto it. And components are basically things that hold code, that actually does something, like the static mesh component. The static mesh component, it needs to know what static mesh to put on screen, and then it takes care to hand over this static mesh onto the graphics card, so the graphics card can then finally display it. That code is done in the static mesh component. There isn't really a material component. These are the default things. They're a bit tied together, but the static mesh component, of course, needs to know the material. So it doesn't only hand the 3D model to your graphics card, but also the texture and many other information to look at shiny and bumpy. And I mean, this looks like a comfy chair, doesn't this? I mean, this is like super modern. I mean, they have this chair since Unreal Engine 4.0 and it still looks fancy and modern and sci-fi. I mean, this almost looks, but this might be due to the color. This almost looks like Picard's chair, right? The one in the middle, the big one, the one with the engage button. Well, yeah. So everything there's to know, everything you can set or change, any value that is there. Like here in rendering, there's a checkmark at visible. Guess what happens when I remove the checkmark? Oh my God! It's still there. It's just not visible anymore because I removed the checkmark. This one's very interesting. Actor hidden in game. When I set this checkmark, oh look at that. I still have this chair, but if I hit the big play button up here, that by the way has nothing to do with YouTube, even though that's a play button, nothing to do with YouTube, I promise you. See, the chair's gone. Our chair's gone. It's kapoof. It's weg. And when I exit game mode, there's the chair again. What magic is that? Well, it's this actor hidden in game. Sometimes you have actors that you need to set up your level. So while you're editing your level, you want to see them. You need to see where they are and maybe how they are rotated and everything. But you do not want them visible while you're playing the game because, I don't know, maybe you define camera positions and these are positions that you want to move your camera to later on. So you want to be able to see them while you're editing your level. So you know where it's pointing at and where it's looking at. But during the actual game, you don't want them to be seen. They are because you just need them for editing. Then you can set this actor hidden in game, and then it's exactly that. While you're editing your level, or this one, this is a good. I mean, look at these. Look at this one and this one. These strange little things that we have no idea what they're doing. They're all there, including our chair, and that was not intentional that rhymed, but well, I take it. And then you hit play, and I mean they're all gone. These little icons up there. They are gone. They don't show up anymore because you don't need them. Or not only you don't need them, they disturb the game when they still would be there. And so our chair, we just needed to clean up our floor. So it's gone. And when we're back in edit mode, it's back there. So that's actor hidden in game, and there's so many more. And the nice thing is that Unreal Engine is used by so many people and it has a so immensely huge active community. Whatever question you have, with only a few exceptions maybe, and that's then maybe because you didn't phrase your Google search properly, just slam your question into Google and you will find an answer. Like if you have no idea, like cooking. What? Cooking? Is it Monday already? Why is there cooking and why is it in editor only? What? Just throw it into Google and you find the answer what this is, what this does. Most of the time you will actually find the official Unreal Engine documentation that will not tell you everything. You will still need other sources to actually tell you all the things the official documentation does not tell you, because the official documentation, it's the bare minimum. The official documentation tells you everything that a programmer can know by looking at the definitions already by themselves. So yeah, it helps sometimes, most of the time, quite often, but you won't be getting away of ending up on Stack Overflow and checking out some answers there. And also the chance of you actually having to post a question on Stack Overflow is quite low, because pretty much all questions have been asked already and answered. So the answers are there. It's just a matter of finding them. So yeah, that's the details there, and this is our output log. Everything the engine has to tell us, we'll get into there, or if we ourselves, like we did quite a lot in the past, again, yeah, shameless plug to the old sessions. If we put debug log outputs ourselves, they will end up here in the output log. And don't forget, we opened this manually by going to Window, Developer Tools, and then Output Log. And there's so much more. I mean, look at that. You can have of these preview windows. You can have 4 of these at the same time, and they're independent of each other. So you can viewports. I can open up a second viewport, and imagine I have put this, I don't know, on my 5th monitor or something. I can open up yet another viewport. There's some of these you can have multiple of, like the detail. Even of the details window, you can have multiple. Yeah, cinematics. Yeah, no idea. And just take a look through it and just open everything. Open what's layers? I don't know. Somewhere something opened. Let's close these again. Oh yeah, we got layers. And either you find this super useful, then you incorporate this somewhere in your layout, or say, yeah, no, I don't need this. And then you just close it again and just go through. There's so much you can display, so much you can have the engine show you or give you. Yeah, you can spend an hour or two alone with checking out all these options of stuff you can have in your layout. Yes, layout. And I'm just seeing this toolbar goes all the way. I just want like so. Which brings me to another very important option, because some people, including me, might say, dude, what's with these obnoxiously huge buttons up there? I mean, I know it's a play button. It's a triangle that points to the right. So yeah, why do they have to be so big and take up so much space on my tiny monitor? And the answer, my friends, is no, it does not. You can go to, and this is for me personally one of the most important options of the Unreal Editor, you can go to Editor Preferences. Edit, Editor Preferences. And immediately on the very first page, you don't have to go anywhere. Just the dialog, you're just getting them. There's an option, use small toolbar icons. And you just hit the check mark in there. And look at that. And all these buttons are all of a sudden so much more friendly. And another thing is, if you've set up your layout and you say, okay, this is like I can work with this. This is cool. This is exactly how I want this. You still have these tabs reminding you what this window or this pane shows you. And, well, it's your layout. You know, these are the details. This is my log. And this is my level view. So, very neatly, you can right-click on each and every tab and say, Hide tab. And gone it is. There's just this little yellow triangle left. With that, you can get the tab back. Should you want to move the window around or do other things with it, or accidentally hit the triangle, then you get the tab back. Or you can just do hide tab. And if you do this on all of your tabs, like so, including the toolbar, you're ending up with a super clean and perfectly to your workflow tuned layout. And you're not getting distracted by weird things that you don't want or that you don't want there. You want them someplace else. You just can. And yeah, I know this is not unique to Unreal. You can do this in Unity as well. But you can do it in Unreal. So I wanted to show you so you know, because being able to do something is one thing. Knowing to be able to do something is the other thing. So now you know. And this is basically how you get a very, very neat and clean layout to whatever you like. Maybe you don't like this layout. Maybe you say, wait, you call this clean and neat? Dude. Yeah, I mean, this works for me. This is actually the layout. This is the layout I'm working in. When I work, on our project in Unreal Engine, this is my layout of choice. Yours might be totally different, but that's the nice thing. You can have it totally different, however you want. Yeah, and that's pretty cool. So, the benefit, see, and there's one thing that doesn't necessarily have to do with Unreal Engine, but my cup of coffee comes to an end. Even though, let me present to you this wonderful devcom. Yeah, look at that. Even the autofocus I usually disable works. So I always say, if you make coffee, make 2 cups, because the first one always tends to be empty rather soon. So yeah, I will be attending to my second mug now, and we'll be back in a minute or two. And then we will, now we've checked out the Unreal Editor at all, how to use it, how to open it, how to tame it so it looks usable, because I don't know, maybe you find the default layout, it's super cool, it's perfect, it's all you need. All the people I've seen so far, they are like, what the hell? Including me. Whatever the case is, at the end of the day, you end up with a layout that's totally cool for you. And next, we will be taking a look at, now what can we do? I mean, we've seen we can move around stuff. And yeah, let's see how we move around stuff, how we rotate stuff. The play mode thingy I just teased there with hitting the play button. And how to get other objects into the scene. How to build. Start building a little scene that doesn't do anything yet. There's nothing that actually does something, but I don't know. Let's try to build a little room. Yeah, that's the next thing we do. I will take a deep breath, like a minute or two, and we'll be right away. We'll be back right away. So don't go far. If you need to use the toilet, this would be the time. And yeah, we'll be back in a minute or two, or maybe, I don't know, 1.5 or 2.7 or anything like that. So this is the sweet music we use for this, and yeah, see you in a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, please get back seated. The show will continue in 1 minute. Thank you. Yeah, and we're back. Look at that. It's kind of disappointing when you grab your second mug of coffee and basically the moment you put it back on the table, it's already half empty again. So, welcome back after this little break. I hope you're refreshed and you're ready to, there's a few things we might or could look at. Now that we have set up the Unreal Editor in a way that we're super comfortable with, and we say, yeah, this is a nice work environment, this I can literally work with. So, what's that we're doing now? I mean, we haven't done anything actual in, I don't know, with level, or I don't know, we've just set up our layout. So it looks nice. So, the next thing we can do is to actually dive into our level, and since we had starter content selected, we got two things there. We got this default scene. If you don't have the starter content, your default scene is also quite a lot more empty because all these assets are missing. Because this, and let me see if how can I get my magnification back that I'm usually using? Yeah, like so. You see, this is our content folder, and this content folder is actually on our hard drive. So if we open up the folder where we put our project into, there is a content folder like this one. And if we open this in the Windows Explorer, there is the starter content, which is exactly this one. And I'm just seeing, and this is definitely worth mentioning, because Unreal Engine also has developer folders, and you have to enable it somewhere to show them, like show developer content here. If you click in the content browser, if on the content browser you click on the view options, you have some additional content options here. Show engine content, plugin content, localized content. It's something we don't really need now. This is something you might need when you're more advanced, especially the engine content, because that's, yeah, I mean, the name's the deal. This is all the this is basically the engine. This is all the assets that are part of the engine. We usually do not need to access them. But this one's very interesting. Show developers content, because if you hit on that one, you also get this developers folder here, which is exactly the developer folders here. And if we open this, you can see there's already a folder with my name on it. Because Unreal Engine has these things called developer folders, and this is not like super special. There's no magic behind this. We actually started doing this in our Unity projects as well. But the idea, I really like the idea behind this, because everything in the content folder, well, there's one special thing about the developers folder that's different when you just create a developers folder in Unity. There's one actual difference, which makes this even better, even more usable. So everything you put into the content folder is part of your game. And when you package your game, all these things will packaged into your game and then shipped out to whomever you send your game to. So whatever you put in there, well, it's in the game. And if you put something in there that's, I don't know, not supposed to be there, or it's some experimental blueprint or class where you just want to try things. I mean, it did happen more than once in the past that people found old developer content in games. And then they enabled them and they pulled them into the main game. And, well, they had stuff that weren't really supposed to be there, like test rooms and stuff like that. We need to get ignored. Actually, yes. Yes. Yes, that's a good point, actually. The special treatment Unreal Engine gives this folder, and in a minute I will tell you what this special treatment actually is. But Griefed already guessed it. The special treatment, well, yes and no. Yes and no. You can kind of replicate this with a git ignore, but not completely. But okay, let me get to the point what the special treatment actually is. But first, also, while you're working in the actual content folders with your game content, you are also bound to naming conventions, because we talked about this in the past, best practices. If you're working with multiple people on one project, you have to have a coding style guide. You have to have naming conventions. Because in an ideal world, and unfortunately we're not living in an ideal world, but one can dream. Can one? In an ideal world, all the content, all the code, all the assets, everything that's in this content folder looks like it's being done from one single person. No matter how many people actually worked on this project, it looks like it's done by one person, because it's always the same structure, it's always the same naming, everything. It looks like the same person did it. So this is one of the restrictions you should actually do when you're working in your actual content folder, to follow all these style guides. While you're in your personal developer folder, because that's what it is. This folder is for you, for this thing, for the developer with that name. And nobody else is supposed to look into your developer folder. Sometimes you do look into another developers folder because, I don't know, maybe they tried something and you want to look at what they did there, or you want to help them. There is reasons why you do look into another developer's developer folder. But basically, this folder is yours. You can do in this folder, you can do whatever you want. You don't have to follow naming conventions or whatever. You can just slam your stuff in there. Because, and this is the special treatment, this is why a git ignore would partially work. If you package your game, well, and this is the part that does not work with. Well, it would work if you check out your game for packaging on a build machine. Then this. So yeah, again, you can replicate this behavior with a git ignore somewhat, but not completely. Because when you package your game, when you make your standalone build, when you make your .exe file that you start to run your game standalone, that you can upload to Steam and give other people, everything that's in the developers folder is not packed in. Everything that's in the while you're in the editor, it works. And we can demonstrate and simulate this, because doing this 101 series, I think we will make a little build. We will make a little package project, and we'll make a standalone build, and then we can demonstrate this while you're in the editor and while you're running in the editor. And I think even if you do a debug build, I think even if you do a development build, all the content in the developers folder is available. So if you've made a blueprint or some other asset and you have this laying in your developer folder, you can use this. You can perfectly use this. You can drag this into the scene. It works. But the moment you do a production build of your game, all the content from the developers folders is ignored and is not put into the game. And that has two effects. One effect is if you have your testing stuff in your developer folder, you can be pretty sure that it will not end up in the shipped game unless you by accident do a development build instead of a production build. But then you have a different problem. So you can make sure that everything you put into your developer folder, you can be sure this will never make it into a shipped version of your game. It will never get out into the wild because this will never be packed into a standalone build that you then give to other people or something. And also, this is kind of a side effect because sometimes, and this is actually how it happened for us in our Let Them Try It project. You start building something in your developer folder. You start building an asset. An actor, a blueprint, whatever, with some code in there. You start building this in your developer folder. And eventually, it comes to a point where this asset is actually usable in the game. And it follows all the rules and all the guidelines. So you could just move this from your developers folder into an actual content folder inside the content folder, wherever that is, to use it in your game. But you might also forget this because if you hit play in the editor, everything works. It's there. And then you build your game and it will stop working. It will not work anymore because the content from the developer folder is missing. It's not packed into the game. So your asset, depending on how the asset is implemented and included, either the game will fatally crash because it doesn't find the asset, or it's just missing, depending on how all the other code is written and how your game handles stuff not being found. Maybe it's just not there because it's missing. So you know when you do proper testing, like, oh, wait, I might still have this in my developer folder. So it's kind of I learned it the hard way reminder of moving your asset from the developers folder out of the actual content folder. And this is how you could kind of somewhat replicate this with a git ignore. If you have if you have a build machine, if you have a special computer that does your builds of your game. Since you have this folder in the git ignore, it's not in the repository, so your build machine, it's missing those files when it's checking out the repository, so these files are missing. However, they are also missing for other developers, because the nice thing is, I just said, sometimes you do look into another developer's folder because, I don't know, he tried something you want to look at or whatever reason. But you can't do this if you have it on git ignore, because then also you are missing all the developer folder content from the other guy. In just 1 second, I'll really literally be back in once. Just give me maybe 5 seconds. Just a tiny moment. Just a tiny moment. I won't be far away. I will be still right here. And now we're back. Thanks for your patience. So, but since this is not git ignored, it's in the repository. It's part of the repository. So when I check out the current version of the project, I do have the developer folders of everyone else. So I can peek in there and can see, okay, you've tried. This is how you did it. Okay, yeah, this is cool. I'm gonna be using this or whatever. But don't judge. Don't judge the things that are, and this is why I said you don't peek into another developer's folder. This is what I was getting at when I was saying this. Don't judge whatever's in there, because the developer folder is your personal space. And it's like your desk. I mean, yes, sometimes your boss walks across your desk and tells you to clean it up. But it's basically your desk, and you decide what's on there, in what order, and where your monitors are, and where your keyboard are. And it's the very same with the developers folder. So you can peek in there if you want to look at a certain asset from your colleague, but don't judge them how it looks like in this folder, because that's your personal space. So yeah, so much about the developers folder. This is pretty neat. So yeah, you can do whatever you want in there, and then eventually, when it's production quality, you can always move this into the content folder. There's another neat thing that we should look at. I hope I don't forget it when you're moving around stuff, because Unreal Engine remembers where your assets are with an absolute path. Well, it's relative to your project directory. Lubrication needed. Lubrication applied. Good. So, relative to your game folder, your project folder, Unreal Engine remembers absolute paths. So if you move something around, now it's someplace different, and old references don't work anymore. And this might cause a problem, because the original file now it's someplace else, and the old places that still try to access it, they don't find it anymore. And there's something would be hopefully, if I don't forget this, if I do get in danger of forgetting it, please remind me, because Unreal Engine has redirectors. If you move an asset that's being referenced by other places, if you move this to a new place, Unreal Engine leaves a redirector. And a redirector is a special kind of file. Whenever some other place in your project is trying to access this asset in this folder under this name, and there's a redirector file, the engine knows, oh, it's now someplace else, because in the redirector it tells the engine where the new location of the asset is. So the engine can redirect the access to the new location without the old piece of code knowing. So yeah, but you should eventually update all your references, because having a crap load of redirectors laying around there that doesn't make things better, really. There is, at least for blueprints and stuff, there's a function, you have to manually invoke it, because it takes quite some time. Kind of a symlink. No, more like a Windows shortcut. More like a Windows shortcut. Like when I have let me see. I make folder 1 and I make folder 2, and in folder 1 I have a text file that's called oh boy, I actually wait. How there? Oh, this is embarrassing, because I wanted to do some kind of a somewhat inside joke, but I actually forgot what the file name was. Well, I don't know. Let's call this just intro.txt. I saved the joke for sometime else. So, and now I go into folder 2 and I create a shortcut. And a shortcut is, for those of you who know, it's a file. It's a literal file with the extension .lnk for link. And I tell this that in folder 1 there's the info.txt. So, yeah, and we just call this info thing. So, and it should work if I open a command prompt and yeah, let it be a PowerShell. That's okay. Hey, Cyborg Wolf! Gifted a sub to Party Advisor. Oh, nice. Thanks for the sub, and hi, Indie Advisor. Nice for you to stop by. Greetings, go out. Hi. This is what it wants you to say. Yeah. Hallöle auch. Guten Tag. So if I type dir and not ls, because I've been on Linux machines way too much recently. So you see, there's actually a file called infothing.lnk, because these .lnk files are what where Windows saves these shortcuts, and this shortcut points to the other file where it actually is, and this is basically how the redirectors in Unreal Engine work. Rock the PowerShell. ls might even actually work. Yeah, look at that. How cool is that? How cool is that? You can actually... Okay, it doesn't... Okay, unfortunately, it doesn't really work like you're used to. But ls at least works. Maybe it's just symlink to dir or whatever, but yeah. Well, that works. Neat. Yeah, I'm still old school. I usually just use the default command prompt and not the fancy PowerShell, because, I don't know, I'm old school. I'm afraid of change. I'm afraid of trying new things. So I never tried PowerShell. Also, I never trusted Microsoft enough to think the PowerShell is actually powerful. Your knowledge ends with format C. There was a nice undocumented parameter to the format command back then in the Windows 95. It was /autotest. You could do format C. And if you then did /autotest, it immediately, because usually the format command asks you, are you sure? And I think it even asks you at the second time, are you really sure? And then it asks you, okay, if you're really so sure, please enter the current name of the drive. And only then it actually started the format. But if you did /autotest as additional parameter, it immediately, without any prompts, started the format process. Very nasty if you put that into the auto exec batch of other people. Not that I've ever done that. I don't want to try it now if it works. Let's try this in another VM, not this one, because I still need this one. Yeah. So anyway, this is how the redirectors in Unreal Engine work. They are basically they work exactly the same like shortcuts in Windows do. So if you move a file to another location, it leaves such a redirector. Let's prank some people then. Yes, I have been told of people who did that to the parents of their girlfriend because the parents were mean. Yeah. A friend told me. I could try not harmful things like grab and less. Yeah. Oh, the .ds files. Oh, those insane files the Mac Finder always leaves behind. Quite funny. Sorry for the off topic. I promise you it'll only be 20 seconds and this story will be over. I've been playing around with Unraid for the last week, and there is a community application that goes through your whole storage and removes all those Mac files. Pretty neat. I also have a shell script on my own self-built NAS that does exactly that. It goes through the whole storage and removes all those Mac files. Anyways, so a short mentioning of the redirector files. We'll be coming to this when we're actually using some actors and we're referencing them from other blueprints. We try to move them around and we look at the redirectors. And the point I originally wanted to make is there is a function somewhere. I think I even would need to check where it is. But Unreal has a function to clean up all those redirectors. So, and this is why this is why Unreal doesn't do this all the time. You might ask, okay, why leave a redirector? Why not immediately do this when you move a file? Because it takes a long time, and the time gets longer the bigger your project grows. Because Unreal can go through all the files it knows, through all the blueprints and everything, and replace the references to the old file location with the new one. But this takes quite some time, so you need to manually invoke this. And then it removes the redirector. Only thing is, I don't think this works with C++ code. If you have C++ code that directly references an asset, which you shouldn't do anyways. We've talked about this in the last few sessions. You should not do this. You should really, if you do this, you really don't deserve better. Because Unreal can't clean up your C++ code for you like this. So if you do reference assets by their absolute path, again, which you totally should not do, then your code will still crash because the redirector will be gone. And gone is like not there anymore. And not there in C usually means a crash. Unless you handle it. If you do proper error handling, and a lot of developers / coders like to not do their error handling. I'm not one of them. This is not something that a friend, this is actually something a friend told me. Because I like to do I learned the hard way to always do your error handling. Yeah, some things you just have to learn the hard way until you do them. So finally, with all that out of the way, with a neat layout and already having heard about redirectors, but not really having tried them out yet and everything, how can we finally start to build a level? Because we also might. Why is this in rotation mode? This is weird. I want this in movement mode. So, since we have the starter content, we already have a few neat things, especially materials, and we have those 2 chairs and the table. So, very, very basic is things you already have placed in your scene. You can, move and rotate and scale them around. By default, if you look up here into this little bar of icons, there's the very first one with those arrows. That's the movement thingy. So if you click any object, like the second chair, because we really want to clean up the floor, so we have to make some more room on the table for the second chair. So we can just select this, and then you have this gizmo handles, and the arrows actually point into the direction that you can move the object with. So if I grab the red arrow and it turns yellow, so you know that one's grabbed, I can move the chair back and forth, not up and down. It's just limited to this direction, which is very handy. If I just want to move this chair a bit back and I don't want to accidentally, move it to the side or anything, this is very handy that I can only move this into these directions. The same goes, of course, I don't need to mention this, I think, with the yellow and the blue button arrow. You can, if you want to, and since I do have an inner monk, let's try to, okay, we can't actually place this. Why can't I place this neat middle-ish? Well, I can't place this in the middle because they are not, I don't know. You can actually grab the, let me see. Oh yeah, movement. We could talk a bit about movement, how you navigate around. You see, you can also, with these corner thingies, you can grab like the blue and the red direction, and then you can move it in both directions. You can even grab the middle one there. I think, no, you can't. Okay, you cannot move all 3 directions at once, but you can move 2 directions at once, should you wish so. So, Nardo from the 80s. Not so into this, but interested. You're asking yourself, so how people get things like GTA 5 or Warzone coded? Yeah, must be an ultimate confusion. Yeah, the thing is, that is GTA or Warzone, that's huge projects with many hundreds of people working on them. This is not something one single person could ever do. It's not possible. It's physically impossible for one single person to make something like a modern GTA. There's hundreds of people involved, and every single person only does a fraction of the whole thing. Like there's people who only code the car behavior. that cars, they don't fly, they stick to the road, or sometimes they tumble, and that's all they do. And then there's people who maybe do the airplanes, and then there's people who do the explosions so that you can actually blow up the gas stations or anything. And all these single bits together then become the whole game. So yeah, this is how it's done. It's because it's so many people, and each and every one of them only taking part of a very, very tiny aspect of the whole thing, because otherwise it wouldn't be possible. But yeah, these are huge projects, and they are quite hard. There's a reason why we still don't have a GTA 6 or Portal 3 for that matter. Well, Portal 3 is maybe more easy than a GTA 6. Bad example, but wow. The game industry is so damn developed. Play Tony Hawk Pro Skater, then this. There is some very, very, very talented and clever and intelligent people in the gaming industry. And yeah, we are getting to a point where people actually get the recognition they deserve. Yep. And people only place things on the map. Yeah, there's people who only they just place things on the map. And let's have a skyscraper there. Let's have a bakery there. Let's have a few patches of grass there. Yeah, there's people who just paint the levels, who just place stuff in the levels. There's so many people, so many things. And yeah, there's a lot of talent, a lot of know-how, and a lot of skill going into these projects, so they finally become reality. It's nice when people actually see this. And all the head glitches. Yeah, I mean, this is something, fortunately, and this stays between us because this is a trade secret. So since this is, don't tell this anyone. These things are actually coded in for general amusement. Because if you just have the game and everything works like expected, that's kind of boring. So you need to freshen up everything, and you need to surprise people. And if you have hats that basically only have the eyes and everything else is missing, that is surprising. So these are little things that initially are put into a game to keep it fresh, to keep it interesting. Because everything running smooth, I mean, it'd be boring if everything would just work, wouldn't it? Oh, Vetchpink, hi. You hope I'm having a great stream. Actually, yes, I do. My only concern is the other people, if they are having too. So, or as well, or whatever in correct English grammar that would be. I think you all know what I mean. So, yeah, I'm definitely having a good time. And I think I have the feeling I wanted to say something, to tell something. Yeah, look at that. We were at the movement thing. Look. We were like super sophisticated here because we just learned how to move chairs. That I can move this chair like back and forth, and I can even move it up and down and everything. So I can lift it up the floor and put it on the table because I want to clean the floor. You know, the cleaners are coming. And I could do the same thing with this chair. So move this up here. But now it looks weird. I mean, look at that. If I put the chair like this on the table, I mean, it'll work. I mean, we don't have physics enabled, thank God, because if you would have physics enabled, there's a good chance that chair would just fall over because, well, it's not really, it's misaligned. So thankfully, we could click on this icon. Not the one with the arrow thingies, but let me see if I can magnify this a bit so I can see this a bit better. So at the moment we had this one. You can see this. It's a bit yellow, orangish. So this means this is currently selected, and this is the one with the arrows because this was the movement thing. Moving back and forth and right and left and everything. Spoiler alert. This does not move. This does not mean we can move diagonally. Spoiler. This means we can move back and forth, left and right, up and down. This does not mean we can move diagonally. This means something else, but we're coming to this. So first, let's try this circly thing, and you can see if I get this magnification turned off again. You can learn how to create your first Unreal level. Yes! And how to set up your editor. Yes. All them things you need to know. So, see, now we don't have the arrows, but we have these quarter circle thingies. But just like with the arrows, you see they get selected, they get highlighted in yellow, which means this is the one you're affecting when you're now clicking with your mouse. And if you do this, look at that. Oh, we can swivel the chair. Even though it's not a swivel chair, we can swivel the chair. Ain't that cool? And yeah, you can basically rotate. And then there's the last thing. There's this does not move diagonal icon, which is basically the scale icon. So you can squish this. Oh, this looks quite nice. You can squish in this axis, or maybe this is for very very thin people. So yeah, these are your three main modification thingies. You can move, you can rotate, and you can scale. And what's this? Cycle the transform. Oh yeah, this does. Oh, this is between world space and local space, but that is something we might want to discuss later on. This is a bit more advanced. Not that it's not so much advanced that we don't talk about it. But there's a difference between a world space and a local space. Basically, world space is inside the world, and local space is relative to the object. Like if I put another object that's a child that's hierarchical below this one, I can set it. I can set to modify it based on local space, which means it's relative to this object. Yeah, but we'll be talking about in a bit more depth. And then this snapping feature. You see, when I was moving this, the chair did not move pixel by pixel, but it goes more like in these steps, which is quite handy when you want to line up things, which is this snapping grid that you can turn off. And you see, then there's no snapping. It's just smoothly moving. Or you can set the size. Now it's currently it's set to 10 units, and you can set this to other sizes to where it snaps. Whatever suits you. The same goes for rotation. The rotation was also not completely seamlessly. It also snapped in 10-degree steps, and also you can turn this off, and you can set the degrees. And of course, if snapping exists for moving and rotation, of course there exists one for scaling as well. Another thing you can do, because all we did here was manipulating the transform. And what's a transform, you ask? Transform is the information where and how the object is in the scene. Where it is, all these three things that we could just modify here. Where is it? What rotation does it have? And how is it scaled? That's the so-called transform. And if we go back into the details window that we took a look at a bit more early, we can see we have a transform here. And we can also, instead of just moving these around, because sometimes you can't really move them exactly to where you want, but you know your values. You know, this is there and this is there. You can just enter these values by hand. So let me, the scale, it's I don't know, I don't know, it was supposed to snap, but it's weird. So let's set this to an even 180. And let's set the scale back to 1. Oh, look at that. That looks pretty. And this is at 102. Nah, let's make this 100. Same goes for this. This is at 102. Let's put this to a clear 100. If people are balancing weapons and stuff for games, do they do that in this program too? Or are they so are they moving? Yeah. Balancing given your, I mean, this is currently this is Unreal Engine we're using here. So if you're making a game in Unreal Engine, you of course you do your balancing. Well, it kind of depends how you set it up. I mean, you can basically set it up however you want, but usually you do the balancing in this editor in the engine as well. You have your weapons somewhere, and in this detail view, you then have all the internal values the weapon uses, like the range, how much damage it takes, how long does it take to reload, and all these things. And you would tweak those values right here in the editor, and then hit play and try them and see if it works. Sometimes it's not as easy as just hitting play and trying it out. Sometimes you actually have to give this to other people and see how they play it. So you have to do actual play testing to see if your balancing works. Balancing is good that you mentioned it, because balancing is a huge job. There have been situations in the past where companies spend as much time just with balancing the game properly as they did with the whole development up front. So I don't know, it took them 2 years to actually make the game, and then it took them almost 2 years again to properly balance it. Unfortunately, they don't do this anymore, but they used to. But you can, and in the end, this is how you set it up. You can have those balancing values pulled in from external files. If you set up your game so it reads external files to load this stats data and this properties in, basically you can do what you want. If you want to do it in the editor, you set it up so you do it in the editor. If you want to pull it from, I don't know, pull it from a database upon build or something. So you have, I don't know, you have your physics doctors that can type in the balancing numbers, and then when you build the game, it pulls the data out of the database and builds your weapons based on them. Whatever you want. It's everything's possible. Dadla, hi. Greetings. Nice for you to stop by. Hi there. Balancing. I wonder if the chairs would fall down the table due to balancing problems. I think they would just barely make it. I think they would just barely stay on the table. Maybe we could move this one a bit more closer in. Yeah, but I think now they would just barely make it. Center of gravity should be somewhere around. Yeah, it might be close. It might actually be better. You know what? It might be. They will definitely not be falling down. If we just rotate them the other way around, and so we can also demonstrate setting the value. Okay. Somehow that doesn't look very promising as well. I don't know. That still looks like they will fall down, and this is now they're clipping into each other. But it looks nice. Gives a nice form. Gives, I don't know. Looks a bit like the Assassin's Creed logo or something. Yeah, you can just play every weapon. Yeah, it takes ages. The balancing, especially if you have a game with different weapons, the balancing is often underestimated. How much work and effort goes into balancing, because set one value wrong and the weapon might be totally overpowered or underpowered, which might kill the whole game. And not quite often, almost every time actually, the games are still the balancing is still being fine-tuned once the games are out. I mean, with classic first-person shooters or anything, once the game's out in the wild and people are playing it, people might complain, hey, this weapon is totally overpowered and this weapon is totally useless, and they still have to fine-tune the balancing. Balancing is actually in my opinion, depends. Yeah, I did I want to say boring? Well, it's a lot of work. It's you definitely have to plan in a lot of work for balancing. And so do we. When our project reaches a state that will be somewhat playable, we also have to balance a lot of stuff. We have to balance how much resources the cities generate and how much they buy and how fast the traders are moving and everything. Yeah, and I'm kind of a bit afraid of that because that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. Well, my pleasure. My pleasure, Nardo. That's why we're here. That's why we're doing these streams. And glad you're here and you're asking questions because that's exactly, as I just said, that's exactly why we're here. And very, very glad you enjoy this and getting something out of it. Okay, so then we get a bit more shown and done and explained. I don't know, more like talked about. You've seen me moving around here, and I'm very used to the way Unreal handles the movement in the editor. There's people who are more used to like Unity or stuff because it's a bit different. So the basic movement in the editor, because if you want to reach all your stuff and you want to click on it and edit stuff around and know how to, okay, this is how I get back and forth. You have to reach it, you know? I mean, if I'm somewhere, I don't know, I'm somewhere back. Oh, let me simulate. If I'm somewhere back here, okay, there's one very fancy way. Actually two, to like get to this chair. You can double click on it. Look at that, and all of a sudden we're there. So when you're far, far, far away, when you're in a galaxy not too far away, so you can still somewhat see stuff. You can either double click in the preview window. You can I think. No, you can't. Okay, it doesn't work with. Okay, you have to double click in the world outliner, but then it brings you directly to. It brings the object in focus. It centers the camera. It moves you closer to it. Or I think you can hit F. Yeah, see, for proper respects. You can just select whatever asset you want to focus on, and you hit the respect key, and the camera also moves closer to it and centers on it, so you have your asset in good sight. General movement is of course done with your mouse and your 3 mouse buttons. And I say 3, yes, because there's the middle one. That one you usually just scroll, but you can push that as well. Let's start with the left mouse button. If you hold the left mouse button, you can look around and move backwards and forwards. If you hold the right mouse button, you can look around, and that's basically it. You can only look around. Because with the left mouse button, you can only look sideways. You can only look sideways because forward and backward does actually move forward and backward. With the right mouse button, it's actually just movement, looking around. It's not movement. It's just forward and backward looks up and down, and left and right looks left and right. Then you can hold both mouse buttons, the left and the right one, together. And this gives you up and down and left and right movement. And I think this is the very same as if holding the middle mouse button, which also gives you up and down and left and right movement. If you've never done this, it takes you a bit to getting used to, but it's not too hard. You will actually eventually getting used to it, and you see, then it becomes muscle memory, and sometimes you just have to try, and okay, yeah, I want to get up, I want to look a bit down, and you just jiggle around with your mouse buttons and move around as if it were nothing. It's a bit more harder when you come from a different engine. If you've worked for years with Unity, you will have quite harder time navigating in the editor, but I think there's options to change this. Because my colleague, our artist, in the beginning he was more used to Unity, so he found some options to change, to set around, so the movement were more to his liking. So there's options to change this, but I'm personally I'm pretty fine with the default Unreal movement, so I just keep it like it is. Also, I'm too lazy to change those settings. Honestly, I'm just too lazy. So yeah, this is how you move around, by either pressing the left mouse button, by holding the right mouse button, or by holding both mouse buttons. That's a mouthful. All together. And you just try. You know, like, okay, I wanna go forward and look down a bit, and you try. Okay, yeah, this works for going backwards, and both buttons. Yeah, exactly. This works for moving back and forth. So what is that? Both. Now I can't look down now. And this one. At first, it's a bit trying around. Just trying the mouse button, see what it does. Does it do the movement you want? If not, try the other mouse button. If it still doesn't do the movement you want, try both mouse buttons or the middle one. Eventually, you hit the movement you want to use, and then use that. And after a while, you're just getting used to it, and you just can move around. And still, you can just double click here on all these things, or you can select it in the preview and just hit F. Which actually stands for focus and not for paying respect. So the camera focuses on this object, like the floor, and even takes the size of the object into account. So you have a good view of the object, so you can then do stuff with it. So I have no idea why that chair all of a sudden went kakuku. Okay, let's just undo this a bit. So we've played around a bit with the objects we had already in our scene, because that's the starter scene. They were just there by default. So how do we get new objects into our editor? Well, quite easy. You just drag them in there. So we go into our starter content. Pretty neat, because the engine gave us that. Let's see, what do we have? Architecture. Do we have some nice architecture? Can I have some? Let's make this as tiles. Maybe I can see them a bit better. Props. Oh, props looks good. What's that? Corner frame. I think the corner frame looks kind of neat. I just have no idea what that is. Here, see? I have no idea what that is. Well, yeah, corner frame, but I don't know. Corner of what? But looks neat. Here's a couch. Oh, this is good. This is perfect, because this is exactly where I'll be heading when we're done here. This is exactly where I'll be heading. So let's say we also want this neat couch here. So you go to wherever your stuff is stored. Okay, this is just the material. I want to see what's subfolders we have. And in your content browser, you got the couch. So just drag the couch into your scene and let go. And there you got it. There you got your couch in your scene. It's just facing the wrong way. So you could either select the rotate tool here and rotate it around, or you could just type the desired rotation directly into the transform details. Move it around a bit, and yeah, that looks good. That looks like a nice and comfy couch, and there it is. There's your couch. Now, maybe you want to have walls. I said, let's try if we could maybe build a little room. And now we start getting into the aspects of the Unreal Editor that start to become really interesting. But should usually only be used for blocking out, for placeholders, or for prototyping. But that is stuff your artist can take care of. Well, we're the coders, at least today. We are just the programmers, the coders. And the artist can later on replace our placeholders with proper meshes. But there's also a way, but this we'll be taking a look at next week, because I've teased this at the very beginning. You can create basic but actual static meshes, because what we're trying out now is not a static mesh. It's something different. It's something that costs a lot more performance. This is the reason why you should not use it, at least not in a production level where, well, that you actually ship for other people to play. You can use this to prototype, to block out, and to make placeholders. But you can also make actual static meshes like these things. Maybe a quick explanation, what's a static mesh? Because I'm throwing with all these fancy words around me, and some might go like, yeah, static the who and the what now? A static mesh is basically a 3D object your graphics card can render. That's it. A static mesh is the name for these 3D objects that the engine can throw at the graphics card and say, oh yeah, by the way, here's a texture for it. And the graphics card will then take care of rendering the object on screen. So this chair and this couch and the table and everything, they are all static meshes because they are all proper 3D models. The engine can just throw at the graphics card to lubricate my throat. That's one thing. And also to just render these things on screen so we can actually see something. Because it's like with a good meal, your eyes play with you. So it's not only you who plays, your eyes play as well, and your eyes want to be pleased. And Shino might want to be greeted, so I shall do this. Shino, hi there. You're at the perfectly right spot because we're doing Unreal Engine, and I know you're doing Unreal Engine. How is your Unreal Engine going, by the way? How's your Unreal Engine going? So yeah, but now we want to build a room, and we don't have static meshes for our room yet because our artist has not finished them yet, because we've just started working on our project and our artist hasn't built the meshes for the room yet. Even though here's a door frame, that's pretty neat. Maybe we're gonna use this. Let's see if we maybe use this. So what we can do in Unreal Editor just to block out and do stuff is we have here in our place actors thingy that we have no idea what the name is because we hit the tab. We have lots of things here. We have basic geometry. We have basic geometry that we can place, and I'd actually like to know if these are static meshes. And they're not, because this is nothing. This is this is empty pawn. Okay, point. Oh, basic. Okay, this is just a selection of multiple different. Okay, this is not really a category. This is kind of a best of. The basic category here is kind of a best of things you usually use or need. And when we actually place the cube here, some might recognize this because we used the cube and the sphere when last year, another rhyme I did not intend, but I will take it. The cube and the sphere we did reuse last year when we made our Game of Life implementation. Some of you might remember. And you see these are static meshes. When we click in the world outliner here, you can see on the left, you have the name of the object. which you can rename to anything. We can, I don't know, we can maybe call the sphere not a cube, which is not a line. So we have our not a cube object. And on the right, you have to type. Oh, look, you even got those headings. So this is a static mesh actor. And we're going to be talking about what are actors, why actor, and what's an actor, and what's a pawn, and what's a static mesh actor. We'll be talking about this next week. For now, let's just take that this is a static mesh actor. So this is an actual static mesh. This is a proper 3D object. Not the prettiest, not the most complex one, but it's a proper 3D object. And you know, not quite much. Okay, a bit busy. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know the busy part. Oh, still a migraine. You have to practice more again. Yes! Yes! You have to practice more again, because I need more people I can talk about Unreal with. And share experiences and ideas and all the neat stuff one shares about things he does and stuff. Yeah, so this is a proper 3D model, and we could look. Currently, we have just the basic material, and Lakeside will also do her best. That's nice, cool. Looking forward to so many talking with you guys. So let's see if we have any here. What's that? Floor walnut polished. Is walnut polished cool? Oh, that looks pretty dark, huh? That looks pretty dark. So walnut warm? Yeah, I can see a bit more. So yeah, you can basically just select the material, and now our 3D model has this material. And a material is a collection of multiple things. For one, it's the texture, like this brown wooden thingy. That's the texture, and some information about how shiny it is, how rough it is. Are there bumps? And because if we look really close, let me see if I can move the here. If we look really close, we can see there's. I hope you can see this in the stream. There's little uneven things. It's not just a perfectly plain surface. It's a bit uneven with bumps and edges and stuff. And all these information are part of the material. All these things make up the material. And now we just assigned this material to this not a cube thing. And yeah, so this is how static mesh is, and materials work. The problem is if we take the cube down here, all we can do with the cube is we can scale it. I mean, we could build our room out of cubes, right? We could take 6 cubes and we could flatten them. We could scale them down. So, and then this is a neat little trick, by the way. If you want to copy paste an object, let's say because I want to build a room, I need 6 sides, right? So I could select this, and I could hit Control C, and I could hit Control V. And look at that, you've already seen in the world outliner, I end up with a second flattened cube. Another thing I could do, I could just select this, hold the Alt key, not the new key, the Alt key. Okay, this gag only works for German people, but bear with me. Hold the Alt key, and now you drag off your copy. And now don't drag off your copy, because you have to let go of the Alt key, hit it again, and then you can drag off another copy. So easy duplication of objects like chairs is just select your object, hold the Alt key on the keyboard, and then just drag out your copy. Sometimes life can be so simple. Isn't it nice? So yeah, what I could do is I could now... it also works with multiple selections. If I have 2 of them selected, I can, of course, drag out 2 copies because you basically duplicate everything you've currently selected. And I would need to rotate these by 90 degrees like so. And I would need to rotate these 90 degrees like so. And then I can move them so they fit like so. That's not a perfect match, but well, you get what I'm aiming at. This is not a perfect room, but this is not supposed to be. I just want to demonstrate something. Now we have somewhat like a room. Not really, not perfect, but well, yeah. It's kind of a room. Now we want to have a door in the room. And here starts our problem, because if we want to have a door, this is a static mesh, and static meshes, they are static, they can't be changed. You can't change a static mesh. We can't do anything to these cubes besides, well, the most we can do is scaling them. We can rotate and move them, and we can squish them a bit by scaling. That's all we can do. Same goes with the chairs and the couch. We can't change the mesh. But now we would like to have a door in this room. So what we could do is, I could scale this down a bit again and move this, and then drag out a copy, and then drag out another copy that I again need to scale a bit. Of course, I could build all my individual door wall parts out of these static meshes, so I get my doorway. But I think you can see that this is not ideal, because usually your static mesh is not a cube. This is just a sample. This is because starter content. This is just so not even. This is not even starter content. This is actual. Even if you don't have starter content, this is an object the engine just provides you always. It's always there. You can always use this. But you can see this is maybe not ideal. So what we can do is find all our cubes and delete them, because there's something that's way more handy and versatile than using the static mesh cube. We have, and I think it's under geometry. And now we got something for the really old school guys and gals among you, because very, very early 3D engines used this type of geometry. You see, I have the geometry category selected, and I have a box, a cone, a cylinder, a curved stair. I have a few primitive types, they are called, because these are the basic types we work with, so they are called primitives. And I call primitive if I don't check my chat, if I have missed anything. So, we could start with copying my brain into Shino's. Yeah. That will be something, right? That will be something. If we live in a world like Cyberpunk, and you got USB ports in your head, and you could just connect with another person via USB, cable here, cable there, and just transfer knowledge. That would be so amazing, because so much knowledge would not get lost anymore, because often enough when someone dies, he takes his knowledge with him because he couldn't pass it on, he couldn't share it, or people didn't understand it, or whatnot. If you could just copy your knowledge into someone else's head, you could peacefully die. But all your knowledge you acquired, the other person would also have, and could also copy it to other people. And then these people acquire additional knowledge. Imagine where humanity would be in a few hundred years if we could just copy our knowledge and then just have the knowledge of someone else and build upon that In a scenario like that, you could argue that there would be hope for humanity. But until we get to that point, I don't think there is. I know Kung Fu. Show me. Yup. You could also upload your ghost into the internet. Yeah, but... Question. If you upload your consciousness into a computer or the internet, is it actually you moving in your consciousness into the internet and continuing to live? Or is it just a copy and the original you still dies? And yes, Soma has such an amazing take on exactly that question. It's one of the many reasons I love this game so much. Besides just being a great game with great gameplay and beautiful graphics. But it tackles this subject so wonderful. But yeah, that's it. Would it be a copy and the original you still dies? Or could you actually really move your consciousness into the computer? The latter I would want. The former is completely useless to me. I mean, yes, people could still enjoy all my super nice jokes. But what do I have from it when I still die and they can still hear my jokes? That's no gain for me. So I don't want a copy of me living on. I want me to live on, and I don't think that's possible. You will create a new me. Yeah, with this. A copy. Exactly. But it's kind of a way to have a part of you continue to live. Yeah, but I don't. But if I don't, then I don't have anything I don't know. You see my problem there? Okay. To get the show to a conclusion for tonight, let's show. We will go into a bit more detail about this next week. So we have these geometry things with boxes and cones and cylinders and all these nice things, and we can pull them into our scene just like we did before. And you can see it's not really textured. It has this untextured thing. There's no default material applied to it. And this is not a static mesh. This is not a static mesh. It does look like the cube we just had when we go back to basic and I pull this cube in here. Apart from the fact that this one's just bigger than this one, this is not a static mesh, and there's a huge difference. Now, actually, there's two huge differences. Because as I said, we cannot modify static meshes. Static meshes are as they are. There's no way to manipulate them. This isn't a static mesh. You can see in the type column it says brush. This is something that's called a BSP volume. And BSP stands for binary space partitioning. And if you really want to fry your head or your brain or whatever, if you have nothing to do tonight, Google for BSP, binary space partitioning, and read up what it is and how it works. Because, I'll be honest with you, just out of my head, I couldn't explain you. I kind of know what it does. I know how to work with it, but I couldn't exactly explain to you how it works under the hood. So if you want to know, just Google it up and prepare for your mind to be blown. Oh, look at that. The light is in Twitch color, but nobody used the chat. So someone might have used channel points on another channel. Sneaky, sneaky. Actually, I could check because my bot tells me. And yes. Channel points have been used. I'm so glad. I'm so happy you enjoy this. You enjoying this enjoys me. Or makes me enjoy it. I know what I mean. So, these are BSP brushes. Volumes. And the nice thing Oh, someone's playing Disco Party. Nice. Mm. Let me just finish that so we have that out of the way. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Oh yeah, like the disco in VR games arcade. The disco is my favorite effect. It looks nice. It looks really nice because it turns the track into night mode, and the music is kind of catchy. It's okay. So the huge benefit, and with every benefit comes the opposite of a benefit, whatever that is, a disadvantage, you might say. We can actually manipulate this. Of course, we can scale and move and all the things, but we can edit this down to a vertex level. So what I can do is I have to find it, and because I made small buttons, I tend to look at that. Brush editing, look at that. We have an option if we take this third button. Let me make the default big buttons again so you know which one it is. If we make the big buttons, is this one with those, the wrench, the brush, and the pencil. And if you pick that one, we have an option brush editing. And this is pretty neat because now we can select faces of this volume, of this brush, and we can move the face. So if I move this upper face up and down, it kind of has the same effect like the scaling, but I'm not scaling it. I'm actually changing the height of this volume. Or if I select this face, I can pull this out a bit so I can make it longer or a bit shorter again. I can select a side, I think. I think these are called sides. Don't quote me on that. If you know it better, please just feel free to correct me in the chat. Still Turker is missing. In the channel point. Yeah, the channel point options are still missing. But it should work via chat, at least here. You're right. In my channel, it only works via channel points. I need to add this. But I think over here it's still At least here it still works via chat command. Because I don't have access to the channel point options here. So this is why I enabled the chat commands for this channel. But yeah, on the Turkers. But we can remember me next stream because I can add this quite easily. I really only have to add the channel point redemption. I don't have to touch my bot because it's so primitive. It takes the color actually from the channel point redemption name. So yeah, I just have to name it properly and everything works. So I had the face selected, and I can also select this side. You know, this line. If I manage to actually hit it, yeah. See, you would say it's an edge. Yeah, edge is okay. I can select this edge, this one, and I can move the edge around. So I can really make my own geometry with this based on the primitive types that I had here. And this even goes down to a single vertex. I can even select this one vertex, this one corner vertex thingy here, and I can move this one around and change the geometry with this. In your words, silent face is the same in 3D. This might actually be, yeah. Side makes actually more sense for face. I just know that they are definitely called faces, at least maybe sides, but they are called faces, and these dots are called vertices. Vertices. A vertex, a collection of many one vertex. Yes. Well, you know what I mean. So yeah, I can even move the vertices around. So the big advantage is that I can create completely custom geometry using these BSP brushes, using these volume brushes. However, the texturing, you can already see it with the default texture. The texturing goes a bit cuckoo sometimes. Well, not sometimes. Actually, most of the time. You have no way of really decently texture this. Unless you're really super careful with how you create the geometry. You have no way of properly texturing this. We could go into the materials folder now and what do we have? Oh, this is pretty good. Where's the... Oh, wait, here's the materials folder. And, this one looks cool. Let's, okay, oh, do I have to select the side? No. Okay, it's supposed to work by just dragging and dropping. Oh, and Bolondosh from thanks for the sub. Thanks a lot for the sub. So yeah, you're supposed to, oh, see? Okay, you just deselect and drag and drop. And you can see with this texture, with this test material, how crazy the actual texturing is. There might be textures that work, like this concrete, that might actually work because it's kind of seamless anyways. But you can't really. So this is not a replacement for a 3D editing tool. If you really need proper, even if you can, but this is something we'll be looking at next week. You can create proper static meshes out of this. But with proper, I just mean that it's an actual static mesh that behaves and has all the benefits and advantages of a static mesh. If you need a properly modeled one and especially textured one, you still need someone who knows his Blender, 3D Max, Maya, or whatever 3D application you use to make your 3D models. But this is okay if you just need placeholders. If, like me, you're the coder and you need, for whatever reason, you need to have objects in your scene because, I don't know, you're making code that moves them or that interacts with them. You need to have some stuff, some models in there. It's a nice way to create your placeholders or your prototyping or your blocking out or something. But you can see there's, I think even with this texture, it will not work nicely. See, it looks kind of weird because the texturing it just does not work. And Blender works good with this kind of because Blender is made for this. So you still need to use Blender to make up your actual proper models. You can't do this. You can't do really proper models directly in Unreal Engine. You can do like what we did here. You can make up rough models, but it's really more just for prototyping or blocking out or placeholders and stuff. Because the texturing really just does not work. So if you need proper models, you still have to use some 3D application like Blender. But yeah, if we want Kundenbetreuung, hi, if you want to say hi to Kundenbetreuung, we can do this right now in the chat because he's just there and hi. So yeah, let me get out of, how do I get out of this editing mode? Is it cool if I just close it? Nah, I just go back to select and everything's back to normal and we just delete this because this was pretty messed up. We wanted to make a room. So we wanted to make room and we want to make a room. So we again start with a box. And you can see the first one we just had completely untextured. with really there is no material. If we want to have a nice material applied to it from the get-go, like, yeah, this looks nice for room walls, does it? Yeah, this looks. Oh wait, let's make one for the floor. Let's make the floor walnut. You can just select your material, and with the material selected, you drag your basic geometry object into the scene. And oh yeah, eventually, oh, this is the eye adaptation thing. I hate this eye adaptation thing. Well, usually the first thing I disable. You see, it's completely covered in our material we just selected. And to make it a bit more easy to start off making your geometry, you don't have to move them around all by hand. You have the brush settings over here. And here we can say, okay, you know what? I want the Z-axis or the Z-axis for those American slang guys among you. We want the Z-axis just to be 10 units high because that's our floor, so it doesn't have to be that thick. And I want the room to be, let's make it 3 by 2 meters. Because one unit of these Unreal units is 1 centimeter. It's kind of defined that way. So 300 units is 300 centimeters. I think that's 3 meters. Which if we take a look at this chair, makes sense because in a room that's 2 meters wide, yeah, you get about 2 chairs. You might fit about two of them. Yeah, okay. That's roughly 2 by 3 meters. So that's cool. So that's our floor. For the walls, I want this nice oak texture, so I drag out another box. And this is, I have to check my axis. This is the green one. The green one is Y, so I want it to be only 10 on the Y axis. I want this to be, 2 meters tall. That's okay. And I think this also has to be 300. So now we only have to properly place this to where it belongs. Maybe zoom in a bit. I mean, yeah, this is the lengthy part of. Okay, I'm not sure why this doesn't like super nicely line up. 710 it should be. Well, it doesn't matter. It's just a small approximation. We don't have to make the perfect room now. So just drag this out to have a second wall, just like there. I'd like to have something else for the ceiling, but let's be lazy. To not spend too much time, let's just use the same. We could change the texture later on, anyways. Let's drag another copy of this and just swap out the 200 there by. No, that's wrong. Wait, that was 10. Yeah, no, but that's 200, and we want it to be 10 on the x-axis because this is right there. See, plop. And since every room needs to have 6, oh, this is not completely tidy. So, and let's drag another copy out there. All right, nice. Okay, we have a room. We can go into the room. Walk into the room. Dum-dee-doo-be-dee-doo. And interestingly, this room is rather bright, which is kind of weird because we don't have any lights in here, but I think we do have this global light that illuminates pretty much everything, because I'm not sure if we have cast shadows enabled already. It might be that these things don't cast shadows yet, and this is why there's still so much light in here. And I gotta admit, I'm not exactly sure if I can enable cast shadows on the BSP brushes, or if we have to do this once we made it a static mesh. We can do this definitely once we made a static mesh out of it, but I wanted to show something else because we're actually already over time. I just see there would have been a way more easy way to build the room. Let me show this because I just saw I completely missed a way more easy way to build a room. Let's take this texture, let's take the box, and let's say the box is, this was the 3 meters. Yeah, you know what, let's make it a bit larger. Let's make this 4 meters by 3 meters. The other one looked a bit small. And let's make this 2.5 meters high. So this would be a nice room, but we can't really walk in there because this is a solid block. Thankfully, we got this. Let me see if I can magnify this a bit. These are the sizes I just entered. This is 400 by 300 by 250. And you see this, there's a hollow option. An easy way to build a room, cut a box from a box. So we don't even have to, yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, but we don't even have to do that. I will be doing, I wanted to show this. This is one thing I want to show still today before finally coming to an end, because the cutting we will actually do, but we will do it for the door. But for the room, we can just, with the box leg, we can just say, okay, you know what, this thing is hollow. And then we can have the wall thickness, and we can keep this at 10 because I think 10 is a nice thickness. Even though, yeah, this quite thick walls. Wow, why do I just want to get rid of the magnification. Why can't I? Okay. Okay. Okay, I got rid of it. Okay, I was fighting with my magnification thingy there a bit. It didn't want to go away. It just wanted to stay. Yeah. So now we can move into the box, and you see, perfectly hollow box. I still want this to be the other texture, which is easy. I just drag and drop the texture onto it. And because I'm interesting, I want to try out things. Let's see what this is. Oh, look at that. We got solid water in our box. This looks nice. These, by the way, I like these textures, these materials. They are not only textures, they're complete materials. I like these hexagonal sci-fi looking. I really like them. They have them since Unreal Engine 4.0, the first 4. Well, you know what I mean. I don't know why. I like it. This is a texture I quite like. But I think for the floor, oh, this is good. Oh, look, this is a nice floor texture. This is a nice floor texture. Let's keep it. Maybe make the wall water. Now that looks weird, right? Having water on the wall. That looks just weird. Yeah. But maybe make the ceiling. What do we have? The ceiling looks a bit weird, but this is because we don't have proper lighting. Yes, this is something we will do next week, to put proper lighting in this, because there shouldn't be any lighting in here. We could try, by the way. Let's move the player start, and I will go into a bit more depth about the player start next week, because for this week we're closing in to the end. Let's move this in there so we can just hit play and okay, this is a problem with my setup. Don't mind this. This is just a personalized problem. So where's I don't want to move this. So Bautze. Was? Bautze? So let's put this in there, hit the play button, and yeah, it's still super shiny in here and super bright. which it shouldn't, because this is a closed box. This is a closed box, and there's no light in here, so it should be pitch black. But let's move this. No, wait, let's rotate. Where are we? We are there. And no, this is okay. Let's move this back here and maybe a bit more there, as much as we can. Well, don't clip it into the wall. There, is that cool? Let's see. See, we can move this a bit more to the side. So, and then a bit more like so. So this should be a neat starting place. Yeah, and for our little box, so we can already run around in our little box. And it has already been mentioned, we can cut things, because this is the nice. Wait, I have to find a bit with like, oh Jesus Christ. Okay, it was that button. Wait a sec. I just do it like so. Okay, now the mouse problem should be fixed. Magic box sun. Yeah, but now I can't wait. Now I can't collect my channel point bonus. So, oh man, so many. No, that's the wrong. See, hitting too many buttons at once doesn't work. So let me see. There were our chairs, because I wanna keep same direction to look at. Again, these things, they are just BSP brush volumes, whatever you want to call them. They are not static meshes yet. Next week we will see how we actually get to get static meshes out of them. And the nice thing is that we can edit the geometry, like we've just seen. We can move the faces, we can move the edges, we can move the vertices, but we can also cut into them. Like Frankenstein just said or suggested for cutting a box out of the box to get the room. We can do this for our door. So we take another box and we say the door is 2 meters high, and since we want to cut it out and the wall is 10 thick, we make this so we have some jiggle room to place it nicely. We make this 30. Oh yeah, and I don't know. Let's make this 1.5 meters wide. Is that? Oops! What did I just move there? What did I? What? What? Oh, okay. Yeah, it only displays the movement once I've actually moved. Okay. So is that nice dimensions for a door? Let's check. Is that some neat dimensions for a door? It might be a bit wide, but well, I'm wide body too, so this is a door even I would fit through. So nice. So let's put that. Actually, we're gonna be taking a look from the inside if this aligns nicely with the floor. It's not a door; it's the doorway. Yeah, it's the hole in the wall where you can put your door into. For our intents and purposes, this will be a door. Or at least it will be a hole in the wall to walk. It might be a bit big, right? Let's scale this down. Fortunately, we can just do so by adjusting these values. Let's make this 1 meter. And only 150 tall. Yeah, this looks more like it, I think. So let's place this wherever we want to have. Let's place this over there, on the other side, from where we start. Let's see, it's actually sticking out a bit on both sides. Wonderful. And what we can do now is, with this brush selected, there is here, it says brush type and it says additive. This has nothing to do with the add blue additive that you add to your diesel motor, engine, thingy, whatever. But it's similar because you add something. And if the brush type is additive, the brush volume is added to the world. Makes sense. But things I can add, I could even subtract. Because there's another brush type, subtractive, and you might have guessed it already. When I select brush type subtractive, the volume of the brush is removed from the world. Which is quite funny because now I can actually move my door frame hole around. I can actually move this door frame hole around. I have no idea why the lightbot spams. Maybe I got, maybe I got, I don't know, connection problems, or I don't know. The chat interface is glitching out again. But we're almost done anyways. So, wonderful. Now we have a very nice hole in the wall for our, what we call a door or a doorway. Yeah. So before, when I was playing around with the cube static meshes that I had to scale around and everything, I had to make one here and one on top and one on the side. And with those brushes, you can very, very neatly, and this is the part I wanted to show you, can very, very neatly just create some placeholder geometry. You can create your whatevers. You can create rooms, and for the door, you can just carve them out. We can also make a window. If we just take, or you know what, we can. Let's try if I can find. I can't select it because I can't see it. It might be this one. Let's duplicate this. And let's only make this also 1 meter high and move a bit up again. And look at that. All of a sudden, we got a window. I mean, we don't see much yet because we're looking, the textures are all the same. But once we move in again, without much effort, we just made a window. Or a window walkway. You know what I mean? We made a hole where we could put an actual window into. And this way you can very, very easily create your placeholder geometry to just try out, to prototype your level, or if you need these things like on Let Them Trade, I needed those game tiles. Some of you know the game and remember we have those hexagonal game tiles, and I needed some of them to make my code that spawns all those tiles and sees that the correct tile is spawned. So I needed some geometry for my game tiles, and I just made them up with BSP brushes, and I created them to actual static meshes. Again, we'll be doing this next week, because, and I think I will let this settle. You have to digest this first. I mean, some of you know all of this. Again, this is meant for people who just want to get started at all with Unreal and haven't really done much, if anything, with it. So I think this is enough for today. This is the advantage of those BSP brushes, because even if we're like me, if you're a coder and not the artist, and even for the artists, this is beneficial because you can just quickly prototype all your stuff in your project, in your game. You can make up any geometry quite easily and quite quickly. For your placeholders, for blocking out your level, and to just have something. If your code needs something to like a player character, like you need a spaceship. I don't know. You're building a spaceship shooter game where you steer a spaceship around. You can easily create a simple spaceship mesh with this to then have your code manipulate this thing. So until later, when the artist has created the actual asset for your spaceship, you just swap out the mesh. You just swap out the static mesh. The actor stays the same. All your code stays the same because you have made your placeholder mesh, and then your artist comes with the wonderful spaceship he modeled, and he just replaces the mesh, and ta-da! You not only got wonderful working code that shoots at other spaceship, it also looks good. Yeah, that's the advantage. That's the nice thing. This is why these BSP brushes still exist. And this is what they are used for. But they come with a lot of drawbacks. And we'll be talking a bit more in depth about those drawbacks, what the disadvantages of using those brushes, why you should not use them for production. Why in your final build, when you package your game and you ship it out to the world, for the people to play, there shouldn't be a single of these BSP brushes in there. Spoiler alert, the main reason is performance, because these things, as neat as they are, performance-wise, they kill it. And not in a good way. They actually kill your performance. Because there's things you can do with static meshes, and this is why it's so important to have static meshes. And also, that's a topic for next week. There's things with static meshes the engine and your graphic card can do that just gives you the performance you want and you know from well-made games. And these things you can't do with BSP brushes. Of course, you can make static meshes out of them, and then you have all the benefits of a static mesh. But you've seen in my first example, you can't really make up decent models or geometry with only using those brushes, because you can't get them properly textured, because the faces, the angles, and everything, it's all over the place. You can't just it's just really just for prototyping, for placeholders. But for those, they are amazing. All right. So with that said, and also said a lot of what we're gonna be talking about next week. Next week we'll be talking a bit more about advantages and disadvantages of using those BSP brush, especially the disadvantages. We will see how we can make proper static meshes out of our BSP brushes. And spoiler alert, it's way more easy than you think. It's really, it's quite easy. That's just a few of the things we're going to be taking a look at next week. We make meshes of that. We make a bit more geometry. And we will also take a look at blueprints. Because just making a room with a hole in the wall that might be a door, kind of boring. Let's make an actual door out of it. Let's make another mesh out of a brush. And let's make this thing actually open. Let's make a door that actually opens. And we do this with blueprints, and you'll be amazed, because this will also be way more easy than you might think. Yeah, that's just a few of the things we're going to be taking a look at next week. And, well, this finally concludes it for this week. And thank you for being there. And if you have questions, if you have general game development related questions, post them here in the chat. Post them in the comments of the devcom tutorial videos on YouTube. Post them in the devcom Discord. Wait, I need to free my mouse because I know it was social, right? Social. Why can't I type now? Okay, this is weird. Now none of the typing works. Oh, okay, my typing works again. Classic remote desktop problem. Social. Oh, look at that. Both at the same time. Because the first one, yeah. The first link is the link to the devcom Discord, and you are more than welcome to join there. And if you have questions to ask them there, Jesus Christ, it's really time for Netflix. Or use Twitter. I would really like to resurrect the hashtag ask. I need to put this somewhere in the new scenes, because those who were here for season 1, for the last times, you see we have complete new visuals. We have complete new graphics and overlays and all this stuff. So I still need to find a way to put the hashtag in there. I just put it in the chat for now. Ask devcom tutorials. Yeah, because I would like to resurrect this hashtag. So if you want, just tweet your questions, your game dev related questions. Tweet them at hashtag AskDevComTutorials on Twitter. Or feel free to directly tag me. There's the first one at the real Hellcat. That's me personal. That's my personal account. Feel free to tag me. The other one at SpaceFlowerDE. That's our studio Twitter account. You can also tweet this. I will also see this. And you could also follow. While you're tweeting the hashtag at those Twitter handles, why not just follow? Maybe I come up with a good new meme or a joke or so, and then you at least have a reason to unfollow again. Anyways, ask your questions wherever you want, and if I see them, I'll be more than happy to try to answer them. If it fits into the general theme and what we do here, I would love to answer your questions live here on stream. We've actually done this the last few times we did this. There have been a few questions that we got answered or inspected or investigated live here on stream. It was great fun, and I would really, really like if we can do this again. So yeah, if you have questions, ask them. If you don't have questions, then tell me a good joke. I like good jokes, or a meme. Like, share, subscribe. What else? I don't know. Yeah. That's it. So now what? I don't know. I'm bad at this. I'm really bad at finishing off. So bye. Again, thanks for being here. See you around. Have a wonderful week. See you next week again. 4:30 p.m. Thursdays on the devcom channel. Now for reals. Bye.